strike. This has both made it hard to reliably discern reality and worryingly allowed nations to deny involvement with at least some plausibility, even when they were ultimately proved to be behind it. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. UPI reports voters in 4 states this year will cast ballots to determine whether medical or recreational cannabis should be legalized, potentially expanding legal cannabis use to just shy of 2/3 of the states, even amid federal resistance to legal acceptance. Michigan is the only state to vote on recreational cannabis this year, in a measure similar to Colorado's existing recreational cannabis laws. Meanwhile, Utah, Oklahoma, and Missouri will vote on legalized medicinal cannabis. 29 states currently allow medicinal cannabis, with 9 states and the District of Columbia having legalized recreational cannabis. Despite the growing number of states legalizing cannabis, the U.S. federal government still has the right to prosecute people who violate cannabis-related federal crimes, causing confusion for states and citizens who are lawfully abiding by their state laws. A new bill introduced in Congress on Thursday could change that, all without federally legalizing cannabis. Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Cory Gardner of Colorado announced Thursday's bipartisan legislation that would give states the right to legalize or decriminalize cannabis within their borders without federal interference. The Strengthening the 10th Amendment Through Entrusting States Act, known as the States Act, would protect cannabis users from federal prosecution so long as they comply with the requirements in their state's cannabis laws. There are 2 exceptions, however: the prohibition of endangering human life while manufacturing a controlled substance, and the prohibition of employing persons under age 18 in cannabis operations. In a high-level endorsement on Friday, President Donald Trump told reporters he probably will end up supporting the Warren-Gardner bill. Critics of the bill point out the intentional vagueness of the legislation, which could allow for a number of loopholes that both the federal and state governments could exploit. Despite its lack of specificity on some key issues, the Warren-Gardner cannabis reform bill is considered by many to be the first step forward in cannabis legislation reform and a possible compromise amenable to entrenched interest on both sides. But the bill would not eliminate the long-standing federal prohibition on cannabis, even though 61% of Americans now support its legalization. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports President Donald Trump held out an olive branch in his feud with National Football League players on Friday, asking them for recommendations as he considers pardoning several thousand people who may be unfairly treated by the criminal justice system. But civil rights activists were skeptical of Trump's gesture. Trump has been highly critical of NFL players who have protested the fatal police shootings of unarmed minorities and systemic inequities by kneeling during the playing of the national anthem at football games. On Friday, Trump challenged those players to advise him on employing his pardon power. He said his staff was examining some 3,000 cases of people who might deserve clemency. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the video sensation that's taking the internet by storm. A web series on YouTube passed the 100 views mark this week. Titled Andrew and John, the wildly popular webisodes feature roommates Andrew Vanier and John Haney playing fictionalized versions of themselves in unusual situations, mostly set in and around their Chicago apartment.
Dude, did you get my tart?
What's a tart?
Oh, you just texted me a fart.
Their latest short, titled Laundry Day, reached the unprecedented 100-view milestone this week after a heavy promotional push in which the duo posted the skits to their Facebook pages. The hit video features the roommates wearing unconventional outfits while scrounging up enough change to do laundry in their basement. Other popular episodes include Foreign Landlord, featuring John's friend Brett from work, and a video where Andrew suspects John might be a zombie.
Our videos consistently get over 50 views now, but Laundry Day, that's the first one that's really taken off.
Yeah, everyone I know has seen it.
It's completely viral.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. It is the live Saturday edition of the program, as always. We'll take your calls about anything you want to discuss. If you want, the toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Otherwise, we'll talk about Donald Trump and cannabis legalization. Big news hit while we were out, Mark. We just got back from New York City.
That's right.
Where we went to the Talkers Conference for our 13th year at Talkers Magazine. For those unfamiliar, it's the key industry publication. Is that can you say publication if it's on the internet? I guess so, right? It doesn't have to be it's
published on the internet, right?
Yeah. So it used to have a print magazine and for many years, and they finally ended that, like 6 years ago or something. It's been a while since it's been without an actual print magazine. But anyway, we've been a supporter of Talkers for a long time, and they've been very nice to Free Talk Live as well, announcing us as the 27th so-called most important talk show in America in their 2018. So Heavy 100 is what they put out every single year. So we're now number 27 on that list, having moved up for 10 years now in a row, starting at number 97. Way back when. And so we attended this year, just got back from Manhattan late last night. So it's good to be back behind the microphones, taking your calls about what you want. Here are the numbers. It's 855-450, free like freedom, 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM, and our Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you as well at discord.lrn.fm. So one of the headlines I saw, and I know they had it in prep for last night on the Friday night show, but they didn't get to it.
Lucky for us.
Yeah, because, there was a lot. It's about Donald Trump and his ostensible support for decriminalization, legalization, having the federal government leave the states that have done some of those things alone. And there's been all this fear ever since Donald Trump's been elected about Jeff Sessions, who is not a good guy, but these fear-mongering articles out there that the decriminalization is done for, Trump's going to crack down, and there's all this fear-mongering stuff that's been going on, but it looks like that's not what's happening at all.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. As a matter of fact, when we were at Talkers, the advice from the people who give advice to talk show hosts is always talk about Trump. You got to talk about Trump constantly. We almost never talk about Trump.
There was literally a guy, and I've got a lot of respect for him. I won't say his name just because I think it was silly, who got on stage and literally said what you were talking about. He had a PowerPoint presentation put together about how your ratings will shoot up if all you ever talk about is Donald Trump.
There was one guy that was on the stage that said he was channeling Donald Trump as though
our competitor,
right, as though he could do that. Either way,
he's from
Vegas,
it was
all very very funny.
It was entertaining. Yeah. I agree with you there.
Whatever the case may be.
And yes, we are talking about Trump because this is a perfect Trump Free Talk Live story. Because we've talked about the war on drugs forever here on Free Talk Live. It's one of my pet issues, is ending prohibition generally, and specifically ending drug prohibition, because it's the most pernicious, the most pervasive, the worst kind, the most invasive, one of the most invasive types of prohibitions that we have in the United States. So the good news from Leafly.com, where a bipartisan group of senators and representatives has introduced a historic bill, and this happened at the end of the week, that could change cannabis legalization landscape across the United States. It's a move that's been anticipated for weeks. A bipartisan group, Cory Gardner, Elizabeth Warren, several others, and they introduced the Strengthening the 10th Amendment in Trusting States Act, which, shortened as an acronym, stands for States Act, on Capitol Hill this week. The measure would exempt state legal marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act. So what is the Controlled Substances Act?
I don't know. Is that, it's obviously the drugs that are illegal.
I believe it came about in the early 70s or late 60s. I forget exactly when, but somewhere in that time frame when the war on drugs really got going, when it became the war on drugs, basically. Because marijuana was prohibited back in the 1930s, but the real war on drugs came much later. Mm-hmm. And so that was when they created...
didn't have DEA agents running around in the 40s.
Correct. This is when they created the schedules for drugs in the United States. And there's Schedule 1, there's Schedule 2, there's Schedule 3, and I forget how far down it goes. I think it's a couple more after that. But the Schedule 1 drugs are supposedly the drugs that have no medical or medicinal use. No recognized medicinal use.
Well, that's what they say.
That's what they claim.
They're the most illegal drugs.
Correct.
Interestingly, cocaine...
is 2, right?
Yeah, Schedule 1.
No, I believe cocaine is Schedule... right, you said it's not Schedule 1. I believe it is Schedule 2. I believe methamphetamine is Schedule 2. And so anyway, cannabis is up there at Schedule 1. Heroin is up there at Schedule 1, which of course is ridiculous. Because, yes, heroin can be destructive to people when they're addicted to it.
Sold.
But it's a medical product.
I mean, it used to be for sale on the shelves in America.
Right.
I mean,
a 10-year-old could go down to the local corner drugstore and walk in or walk out and pay like 10 cents or whatever it was for an entire bottle full of like heroin.
The interesting thing is the conservatives out there that love to harken back to when when this country was great or whatever it might be. This country was built by people who had legal access to opiates. Okay, I mean,
sure was.
As a matter of fact, much of the decline of this country came around with the start of the drug wars and these sorts of things. So maybe if you're a conservative, maybe if you want America to be great again, maybe you should abandon this drug war idea.
Indeed. And our toll-free number here, if you want to comment, certainly you're welcome to at 855-450, free like freedom. So what this will allow states to do is to legalize and regulate cannabis or keep it illegal as they see fit. And so I like the name of it, 10th Amendment Entrusting States Act, meaning they're focusing on this idea of the 10th Amendment, which in theory was supposed to allow this sort of variety of options in the states, like whatever the federal government isn't involved in is left to the states, right?
According to the Constitution, the things that the federal government are supposed to do is like maintain a navy,
a post office,
raise an army,
stupid.
Post roads, actually, not post office. So they
figured they needed to put offices on those roads.
Those offices need to be on the roads, right? Make coin and regulate money. Really not much else. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head else.
Regulate sort of disputes between the states.
Yeah, maintain interstate commerce. It really should be a very small organization. It doesn't need all the alphabet soup agencies that it has out there. I could concede that an intelligence organization made sense for the federal government in a world where we need a federal government. I think that, in fact, the federal government could probably be supplanted by just contracts between the states that say that we don't need to, get involved in that stuff, and then maybe, just be an organization that handles the military.
So the Senator Cory Gardner is the one that's heading up this bill. He's a Republican from Colorado. He emphasized that the act would not mandate full nationwide legalization. Rather, it would allow each state to legalize or prohibit cannabis on its own. If a state chooses to do nothing, cannabis would remain federally illegal within that state's borders. So, that's not good. They should end federal prohibition. That wouldn't have any effect on whether or not the states could or wouldn't prohibit those things. But
well, the politicians doing politician-y things.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, a big step. In the right direction, because then in the states that legalize, federal prohibitions would not apply. And I can tell you this, Mark, having gone to many of these hearings in the state of New Hampshire, the so-called live free or die state, regarding cannabis decriminalization or legalization, probably the number one objection is not that marijuana might cause hair to grow on your palms or some mythological claim that somebody might have made in the past during Reefer Madness. The number one objection these days is, well, it's still illegal federally, and so therefore we're afraid of the federal government, and so therefore we're not going to even touch cannabis. Not going to legalize.
States across the United States have legalized it. Very few problems have occurred as a result.
Yeah.
New Hampshire itself geographically is surrounded by states that have decriminalized marijuana.
No doubt. And New Hampshire did do a minor cannabis decriminalization recently. But I'm just telling you what the politicians say as their excuse. I mean, it's a cowardly excuse, right? The fear that the federal government might do something, and I can understand the fear. The federal government is a scary organization. They are, typically hurting peaceful people all around the United States and around the globe. So I get that. But ultimately, this is going to be something that will eliminate that objection entirely from the repertoire of objections that these state reps have. It's just going to be off the table.
There you go.
If this goes through. So we'll tell you what Donald Trump allegedly said about it. Your calls and thoughts are also welcome here. 855-450, free like freedom on the war on drugs, the war on cannabis, any prohibition, or whatever you want to talk about. You can join us here on the radio. It's Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencash.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. A little bit of good news. It's nice to get some good news out of a horrible place like Washington, D.C. But every now and then it does happen, and we like to bring it to you. It's Ian and Mark in the studio here tonight. You can join us toll-free at 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Mark, the Blink home security system, you pretty satisfied with it?
Oh, yes, very much so.
We've been promoting Blink for a little while here, and it's a great product, and it's very affordable. What it does is it's a wireless home security system that you can get over at blinkprotect.com/FTL. You get 15% off at that URL. But it's delivered to you. You unbox it, pop the batteries in, and then you put the cameras wherever you want them around your house and set it up on your favorite Wi-Fi device, your phone, your tablet, and you're done.
Just like that.
Just like within moments, you're literally done with this thing.
And you've got a full security system in your house. It comes on motion sensitive, or you can just tune in, sort of look at what's going on at the house.
Sure, anytime you want.
Or the office, small office, I think.
Yep.
That kind of thing. And yeah, it's great.
Blinkprotect.com/FTL. Again, you'll save 15% off what is already a very affordable system at blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live.
I actually helped a friend of mine get this put this in their home. Mm-hmm. And she was over visiting my wife, and he was over visiting me today. And she thanked me for the help that I gave and said that it's just been great for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
She checked it while she was there. Apparently, she wanted her daughter to put the dog out, and because of
checking up on her.
Yeah, because of where the camera was put, she could know whether or not the dog had been let out.
So, once again, that's blinkprotect.com/FTL. As we continue here with the news about the so-called States Act. It stands for Strengthening the 10th Amendment in Trusting States Act on Capitol Hill was introduced this week, according to Leafly.com. The head of this is Senator Cory Gardner, but he's teamed up with a bipartisan group, and they're putting this thing forward. In fact, Trump even commented. We'll get to those comments here. In the joint press conference, Senator Gardner emphasized that the act would not mandate full nationwide legalization. It would simply allow each state to legalize or prohibit cannabis on its own. And ultimately, that's what the federal government, if it's going to exist, and I don't think it should, but people believe in it and it's there. As long as those people are around, they should be allowing the states to make these decisions for themselves. That was the original kind of vision behind the idea of the union, was that states would be able to make different choices and thereby attract different populations and try different things. And so Gardner said, quote, "This is an approach that allows the states to move forward. If a state like Oklahoma, Kansas, or Nebraska chooses to do this, or chooses for themselves not to do this, then they don't have to. The federal law remains the same. Nothing changes for them. But those states like Massachusetts and Colorado, this is the opportunity our founders intended to allow states to be those laboratories of democracy."
Now, the states that haven't legalized marijuana are often pretty grumpy about the ones that have.
Why?
They say the things like Massachusetts says about New Hampshire. All of our gun problems are coming from New Hampshire.
Okay.
Now, the funny thing about this is, New York will say the same thing. The funny thing about this is New Hampshire doesn't have a gun violence problem.
Sure doesn't.
It's interesting that the places that have basically outlawed guns are the ones that have the problems.
Yeah, and New Hampshire is essentially closely tied with Vermont, basically, for the two safest states. And New Hampshire, I believe, slightly beats Vermont, if I recall correctly, on murders per 100,000, and it's very, very low.
Yeah, but it's been that way for some time.
So here's a few outlines of what this does, according to Leafly.com, in the States Act. It amends the Controlled Substances Act, the CSA, so that as long as states and tribes, Indian tribes also mentioned here, comply with a few basic protections, its provisions no longer apply to any person acting in compliance with state or tribal laws relating to marijuana activities. So if you're obeying the state guidelines, the state demands about marijuana legalization, so if you got your license and all that stuff, they're saying the federal government's going to leave you alone if this passes. The act states that compliant transactions...
The federal government could just get rid of its laws surrounding marijuana entirely.
They could.
And leave it to states to figure this out.
They're not going to let go of control, as you pointed out earlier.
They don't like to let go of control. Just to point it out, the federal government has almost no control over things like murder. But states handle that.
That's true. The act states that compliant transactions are not trafficking and do not result in proceeds of an unlawful transaction. This would go a long way towards ending the difficulties cannabis companies have in obtaining banking services.
Yep, that's the issue.
That would be very interesting because one of the questions that they will ask you sometimes at banks and credit unions is, do you have any involvement with or intend to have any involvement with the marijuana industry?
Yep.
And if you say yes to that question, you're denied.
Yeah, they're not going to do business with you.
And that's because they're afraid. It's not because they don't want your money. They do, but they don't want the federal regulators up there, where. Going on here, the measure removes industrial hemp from the list of controlled substances under the CSA. So it sounds like, and again, I haven't read through the whole thing. It is 6 pages, so it's actually a readable piece of legislation. If you consider,
as far as size goes.
If you consider legislation readable, it's still hard because they reference parts of code and they say replace this with that, and it would take some decoding. But anyway, removing industrial hemp from the list of controlled substances, which is a huge step. The following federal criminal provisions under the CSA continue to apply. It does prohibit endangering human life while manufacturing marijuana and prohibits the employment of persons under the age of 18 in drug operations. So you can't have any 17-year-olds clipping your buds off your plants and packaging them for sale. But I wonder if that's exempted for families. Because isn't there like a rule that says that you can have underage workers, basically, if they're your family members?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
There is, Mark. I'm pretty sure of this because
yes.
there's a restaurant out where you are somewhere in the area that has like very young workers working at it that probably would be prohibited if they were hiring somebody. But apparently, it's like some big family, and so they're able to have their kids working there,
right,
and collecting tips and everything. So the act does prohibit the distribution of marijuana at transportation safety facilities such as rest areas or truck stops. The measure prohibits the distribution or sale of marijuana to persons under the age of 21 other than for medical purposes. So that's unfortunate that they're not going to allow people who are under the age of 21 and older than 18, for instance, to purchase under this particular scheme. But regardless, it is a huge step in the right direction if this thing passes.
Right. I mean, these things should be left to states, but the federal government likes to be involved and likes to hand down rules. And I guess these are better rules than they had before, so I'll be happy about it.
Trump, according to Yahoo.com and the Associated Press, said he's inclined to support the bipartisan effort in Congress to ease the U.S. ban on marijuana. Trump said, quote, "I support Senator Gardner. I know exactly what he's doing. We're looking at it. But I will probably end up supporting that, yes." So probably not a definite, but it's sounding pretty good.
You never know how things are going to end up. It's written one way and it comes out another way.
Let's go to Bob. He's in, that's true, in Indianapolis. You're on Free Talk Live. And it has just been introduced, so it could be changed. Right. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, I appreciate it, you guys. Real quick, I want somebody to explain to me, why alcohol is legal. There's no purpose for it, no medical purpose. It destroys thousands of lives every year.
Yeah, let's talk about that. If you can, hang on, Bob. I'd like to bring you back for that conversation. Why is alcohol legal? There's a really good answer to that coming up here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. You can join us. You want to talk prohibition? Great topic. Trump sounds like he's on board with some serious reform of the cannabis laws nationally. This is Free Talk Live.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the program. We're talking about prohibition, specifically the prohibition on cannabis, where we're possibly going to see this year with the newly introduced so-called States Act a significant rollback of federal prohibition of cannabis, where the federal government, if this passes, and Trump has indicated he intends to support this, I'm sure much to the chagrin of many of his haters who've been trying to have this narrative that Trump's going to crack down on cannabis, Trump says he's going to support this, which would mean that if this passes, the federal government will back away and have a policy specifically letting states know if you legalize cannabis, we're going to leave you alone. That's the short version of this. We're going to continue here in moments. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
Right now, Omaha Steaks is giving a limited time offer to our listeners here on Free Talk Live for Father's Day at 78% off. This is a really amazing deal. Not 78%, not quite 80. There's not more than 75. Go to omahasteaks.com, type FTL into the search bar, and you can get this Omaha Steaks Father's Day package, which includes a whole bunch of stuff. 2 filet mignons, 2 beefy top sirloins, 4 chicken fried steaks, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 all-beef steak burgers, 4 gourmet jumbo franks, 12 ounces of all-beef meatballs, 1 pound of steak fries, 4 caramel apple tartlets, 1 Omaha Steaks seasoning packet, plus you get 4 more grill-ready Omaha Steak burgers free with the purchase. You've got to use coupon code FTL in order to get this deal. Again, it's a limited time package for $49 when you go to omahasteaks.com. It's a lot of food for $50.
I'd like to include that you get some dry ice as
Oh, that's
well.
also fun, yeah. There's no doubt. It's fun.
Wear gloves.
Add Father's Day package to your cart after you type in FTL at the search bar. Don't wait. The offer ends soon. It's omahasteaks.com. Type FTL into the search bar. Grab your dad and fire up the grill.
Well, you're a dad.
I am.
And we've had the Omaha steaks here before.
Yeah, we've got them here. I didn't wait for Father's Day for it, though.
No.
I went ahead and enjoyed them.
But you can because they're frozen, so you just pop them out whenever you want.
Not a problem.
Which is nice. All right, so
those fillets are really great.
Let's code FTL at omahasteaks.com to get the deal.
Right.
Let's go back to Bob. He's in Indianapolis listening to WIBC FM. Bob, your question was, why is alcohol legal in this sort of conversation that we're having about cannabis, rolling back the decriminalizing or legalizing it? Why is alcohol legal? You started to cite all the terrible things that alcohol does, right?
Yeah, I drink alcohol every day, but I just don't understand why marijuana is illegal when it's harmless. You can't overdose on it. There's nothing wrong with it. So there's medical purposes for it. There's no purpose for alcohol.
So the answer to the question is the reason why alcohol is legal is because prohibition doesn't work. They tried that, and they're trying prohibition again with drugs. And so even though alcohol may be, damaging to people if they use it in excess, as many things are damaging to people if used in excess, we learned that you need to persuade people. You need to give them reasons to stop. You need to offer them help with stopping when they're ready. You can be there for them on those things. But if you make something illegal, what happens is it goes underground. It becomes an underground product. It becomes more dangerous to manufacture and distribute. It becomes potentially a more dangerous product to use, as we've seen with, bathtub gin or whatever these very dangerous forms of alcohol were during alcohol prohibition that only came about because they were being manufactured in the underground marketplace. And the same thing's true with drug prohibition today, whether it be methamphetamine being manufactured in somebody's back kitchen or shack and then blowing up the house because they're not operating in controlled conditions or whatever. It's prohibition that leads to all these horrors, and it's true of alcohol prohibition, and it was true, and it is true today with current drug prohibition. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I understand. I knew that, but I wanted you to explain that to everybody.
Sure.
Through their thick skull.
Thanks, Bob, for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's nice that it seems like the times are changing finally.
Remember when we used to go on the air and people would say, oh, you got to keep marijuana illegal, reasons,
yeah.
Right? Jesus, laziness.
Did somebody ever say Jesus didn't like marijuana?
They'd say that.
I don't buy it.
They'd talk about religious reasons. They wouldn't say specifically Jesus didn't like marijuana, but they would, religious reasons and all kinds of things.
They did suggest at one time that it was Satan who put, I don't know if it was on the air they said this, but, in the past in marijuana
I think it's been said on the air because the notion, first off, theologically, you are messed up if you believe that Satan can create. Satan is a created being, all right?
He was one of the angels,
right. If you take this story as the story is presented, and Satan doesn't have the ability to create. Presumably, Satan doesn't have the ability to whisper in your mind either. But whatever, those are all beside the point. God would have had to. God created all the other plants. Satan couldn't create a plant. Sorry.
Good point. As we continue here, let's go to Larry. He's in Indianapolis as well, listening to WIBC. Hello, Larry.
You know what Jerry Falwell always used to say? He used to say that you don't have to take the cap off of a sewer that knows what goes on, to know what goes on down there and know it's going to be stinking. So this thing with the marijuana, I think it may have something to do with colored people. But
what do you mean?
Here, well, they prohibited first because the colored people was getting some kind of enjoyment out of it, and they felt that was too much. So maybe they want to regulate it and get it out of their hands. So it just turned into a situation where they don't want to go back on it. And you guys act like you trust local government.
Oh, no, I don't trust them at all.
Well, see, you're talking about this legislation. You've not read the whole thing. You don't know what
I'm most of the way through it, though. It's only 6 pages long. I just pulled it up a moment ago.
But we don't know the end legislation is going to look like.
That's true. We don't.
It may take away prohibitions on states for other more despotic things to do to their citizens.
What do you mean by that? When you say it might take away prohibitions on things for other states to do, can you give me an example?
Okay, here's an example. We have a HIP here in the state of Indiana, right?
A what?
Now, Kentucky, this health program called HIP,
okay,
it helps people that are down on their luck and maybe they are sick, okay?
Yeah.
So what this legislation does, and it worked together with the federal government and the state government work together under Governor Pence to waive those HIP requirements, so when they get the block grant money, right, the state of Indiana, they can just deposit it in the general fund and do whatever they want to. Mm-hmm. But the sidekick on this is, and we discussed it in our meeting this morning, they're going to put people off of the HIP program that really need their services, right?
Yeah.
They're going to put them off and make them go and apply for jobs.
So that doesn't have anything to do with the prohibition of cannabis, but it's an interesting issue that you're bringing up, which is to say that
when you rely on the government can
they can take it away from you,
turn on you.
Yeah, so you can't trust the government as far as you can throw them, Larry. And I thank you for the call tonight. And that includes the local governments, it includes the state governments, and certainly includes the federal government. I mean, if anything, at the very least, the local government. You can go and talk to most of them in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you can go be ignored in person.
They'll ignore you, sure. I mean, we saw a ridiculous video out of New Jersey recently showing John Stossel being ignored by these people in a city council meeting. So, yes, certainly. But there, at the very
nice
least,
thing about giving more autonomy to local governments and less homogeny to the federal government is that governments will compete against each other for more business and citizenry, a tax base, these sorts of things. They're going to compete because that's how the market works. That's how the world works. So presumably, some will offer services that are better and more to your liking, and some will offer fewer. When it comes to relying on governments to take care of you, you're generally going to be disappointed.
You're going to be, yeah.
Because whenever entitlements put in place, it's always going to be administered poorly, and the people who need it the most are the ones who are going to get it the least. The people who are most adept at getting it are the ones that are going to get it.
Look at the horror stories from the VA, right? The Veterans Administration, where there's just been so many over time of all these horror stories of people getting bad treatment, misdiagnosed. Obviously, mistakes happen in the marketplace, but they seem to happen a lot more often in centralized bureaucracy, where they just don't have the same customer service incentives because they're guaranteed to get paid. So if you want to help people, and I think it's great to help people, do it consensually. Let's end government forced wealth redistribution and welfare, and of course end prohibition as well. This is Free Talk Live.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. Tony Wright is a perfect example of the power of DNA. The Innocence Project litigated for almost 6 years to get the court's permission for DNA testing. Tony had been incarcerated for nearly 25 years in Pennsylvania and narrowly escaped the death penalty. Tony's case, sadly, is not unique. Empowered with the unequivocal proof of innocence provided by DNA technology, the Innocence Project has litigated hundreds of wrongful conviction cases, leading to the exoneration and freedom for more than 180 people through DNA testing. Overall, there have been 356 DNA exonerees in the United States who were wrongfully imprisoned for more than 4,875 years in total. You can help support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry in the New York City Marathon by going to run.freetalklive.com.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, mice, and rats. If you've made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix. Because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has 90 years of experience eliminating home invaders. And they make it easy for homeowners to be protected by offering a free pest estimate by calling 1-800-676-9879. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, mice, rats, and other pests. This is your last chance. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will never stop working to keep you out with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Pests. Wherever you are, I will find you. Pests, you've been warned. Homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate. 1-800-676-9879. 1-800-676-9879. 30-day money-back guarantee at participating locations. Limitations apply. See plan for details.
Free Talk Live.
Your show is dangerous for people.
Yes,
and
it is very dangerous for the state. It's dangerous for the status. It's dangerous for the status quo, Bob, and it's dangerous because people like you who only want one particular message, and that is crack down, put all those people in jail. We need to bust the border up, and we need to hurt peaceful people. That's what your message is. Yours is the real dangerous message because you're the one who's advocating aggression against peaceful people. Don't you think that's shameful?
No, I think if it's against the law, you shouldn't be advocating against the law. I'm for the law.
Ding, ding.
And if you break the law, it's
in the 1860s, it was against the law for black people to escape from their masters. Do you think they should have been brought back?
No.
Okay, you're a lawbreaker. The United States made it against the law for Indians to mix with white people. Do you think that was a good law?
No.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype as well. The Skype username, LRN.FM. The Discord on-air call-in line room is also available for you over at our Discord server. What is our Discord server, Mark?
Well, it's a website that allows you to chat with other listeners, and there's also a voice chat option. You can call in through Discord. It's just a better chatting option than the other things out there. I think
it's the best one I've seen.
Yeah, we've got hundreds of people on there that are registered, and generally hundreds of people logged in at any given time.
Usually around 100, I'd say 80 to 100.
All right, dozens, logged in. Fine. Check it out at discord.freetalklive.com.
That's right, and there's also an app that you can use. So you mentioned it's a website. That's true. You can use it through the web, but there's also an app for whatever device you've got, which makes it really easy. So head over.
Carry a Free Talk Live chat room around in your pocket.
Yep. So head over to discord.lrn.fm. As we continue here, we're going to go to Skype, where Gary is on the line. Hello, Gary.
Hi there.
Hey there.
I just want to read you a couple of quotes I'm reading from a book here. Somebody's done some wonderful research on marijuana.
Sure. Where are you calling from, by the way?
It says China.
All right, great.
I'm home in about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. So
cool.
Anyway, it says some of my finest hours have been spent on my back veranda smoking hemp and observing as far as my eye can see. That was Thomas Jefferson.
Mm.
and the other one here is by Terence McKenna. I don't know who that person is, but it says, if the words of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness don't include the right to experiment with your own consciousness, and the Declaration of Independence isn't worth the hemp it is written on.
Those
are good quotes.
Pretty spot on.
I can't say that I found marijuana to be the greatest thing in my life or whatever, but that doesn't mean that other people should be thrown in jail because they choose to use it. I think that's really where people,
not only that, they shouldn't be thrown into forced treatment either. Because that's, for some people, that's the other answer is, well, if we don't put them in jail, we got to put them into treatment because they've got a problem.
You need to handle them exactly the same way that you handle nicotine addicts, alcohol abusers. These are just marijuana addicts and not marijuana users. Alcohol users and marijuana users should be treated the same way.
Right, and that's an important distinction to make because the typical prohibitionist will not make the distinction between a user and an abuser.
Right.
They just go ahead and treat everybody as though they've got a problem. And the reality is, whether it's cannabis or alcohol or many other types of so-called controlled substances, there are people who are users, meaning they use it responsibly. They use it, for instance, when they get home from work, taking it easy in their luxury time. And then there are people who use it addictively, and they don't show up at work as a result of that and
That's
lose
a
their
problem.
jobs. So anything else you want to share tonight, Gary?
Well, I was just going to say, since you mentioned that, was that when I was back in the Navy, and I'd been in the Army before that, in the Army, we had guys coming home from Vietnam and then came to Germany to units, and they were addicted, obviously. They had problems. But when I joined the Navy, they introduced those test kits because the Chief of Naval Operations didn't like the Washington Post article of sailors with a picture saying, join the Navy and ride the high seas, and the sailor with a reefer in his mouth. So he introduced those test kits, and they threw a lot of people out of the Navy. And some were senior officers and senior enlisted, and they found out that some of those test kits were faulty, and they had to reinstate them, apologize, give them back pay. And it was a waste of a lot of taxpayer money and embarrassment for a lot of people. And I just kind of feel that, I'm glad that some of these ideas are changing, although if a person's going to use marijuana, they need to do it responsibly, just like anything else.
Indeed. Thank you, Gary, for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. The good news about cannabis is it really is a tough drug to abuse. I mean, there are certainly people who use it heavily, but many of those people still hold down jobs, right? Like if you're a heavy heroin user, you're probably not leaving your bed.
If you're a heavy alcohol user, you're going to be a mess.
Yeah.
And and alcohol is completely legal.
That's true. In fact,
darn legal, I guess I should say.
Well, sure. And of course, I'm in favor of ending prohibition entirely, which means
I'm in favor of getting rid of the alcohol distributor system that we have, and allowing Americans to buy and sell alcohol as they wish.
Let them manufacture it too while they're at it.
I don't recommend the use of any of these particular products unless it's under the supervision of a doctor for the medical purposes. However,
you mean alcohol too?
Yeah, fine. Alcohol's used in tinctures and these sorts of things. You use it if that's what you think. As far as
drink.
I do.
You might even have a beer tonight when you go home.
You're asking me whether I recommend. I'm telling you whether I recommend.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I'm only giving a recommendation. And my recommendation is don't consume alcohol. Particularly.
Yeah.
They say that it'll help you live
what does
longer.
It really do for you?
I don't think that the studies are even true for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone back to it.
Pills.
I've gone away from it and gone back to it multiple times in my life, just depending on my mood. Yeah, basically. Sure. And sometimes I can go. I've gone for as long as a year, multiple years actually, without drinking before.
Same here.
And I gotta say, it doesn't really make life better, in my experience.
Marijuana make life better?
Yes, it absolutely has. Cannabis has been one of the most important things in my life from top to bottom. I'll tell you that. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can bring up anything you want. Mark, you would not be sitting here right now if it weren't for that wonderful plant. 855-450-FREE like freedom. As we continue to hear the news about Donald Trump backing, he's saying he's going to support this thing, probably. Because, again, the final version of it hasn't been produced, but they've introduced the States Act, States Act, strengthening the 10th Amendment, entrusting states. It was introduced this week by a bipartisan group, and the short version is it's going to allow state governments to actually have their own policy about cannabis, meaning if they've legalized it, as long as the people who are in the legal system are following the state's rules, the federal government's going to leave it alone, which is one of the main objections state governments have had so far to legalizing is they're afraid of what the federal government might do. And there's even provisions apparently that might result in banks being willing to actually open accounts for marijuana facilities, marijuana growers, and that kind of thing.
That's been a huge issue.
Whereas right now, dealing with cash that these places get, dealing with payments has been very, very difficult in the legal states because the banks are just not cooperating for fear of the federal government. According to the story at Leafly.com, it's a bill that some political observers inside and outside of the D.C. Beltway believe has a real chance of gaining some traction on Capitol Hill and perhaps even becoming law, and that's because the measure was born in part from the deal that Senator Gardner cut with the Trump administration earlier this year. After Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded the Cole Memorandum, which was an Obama-era Department of Justice memo that created a federal policy of non-interference in cannabis legal states, Gardner responded with fury and action. Gardner, who represents the nation's first state to legalize adult-use cannabis, which is Colorado, retaliated by blocking Justice Department nominees until he reportedly received assurances from President Trump that the president would support legislation to protect each state's right to regulate cannabis without federal interference. And so this is what came out of that. That is the States Act quote from Senator Gardner. In 2012, Coloradans legalized marijuana at the ballot box, and the state created an apparatus to regulate the legal marijuana industry. But because of the one-size-fits-all federal prohibition, state decisions like this put Colorado and other states at odds with the federal government. The federal government is closing its eyes and plugging its ears, while 46 states have acted. The Bipartisan States Act fixes this problem once and for all by taking a states' rights approach to the legal marijuana question.
46 states have acted on marijuana
in some way, whether it's medical or whatever, minor decrim.
What are the 4 that haven't?
You'll have to check. I bet you NORML, NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, they probably have a handy graphical map that would show you the answer to that question. It would be interesting to kind of take a shot at that and say Utah, Idaho.
Utah, Idaho, I like those.
Didn't Louisiana do something recently? We heard that they actually did something.
I couldn't answer. I just don't know.
They did something. Well, anyway, the bipartisan common sense bill, says Gardner, ensures the federal government will respect the will of voters, whether that is legalization or prohibition, and will not interfere in any state's legal marijuana industry. So that could still mean that if you are growing marijuana in a state where it's legal, but you're not following the state's demands about being a licensed grower, then in theory the federal government could still get involved there. The federal government will still be prohibiting marijuana, likely, I'm guessing, on its federal lands. And in states which still have prohibition, the federal government's prohibition will still apply. So this isn't a total rollback of federal cannabis prohibition at this point. But again, this thing hasn't even passed yet, so it's important to remind you about that. As we continue here, Danny is in New Jersey listening to WILM out of Wilmington. Hey, Danny.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, look, just a small thing. Why do you think everybody's got a really bad opinion of marijuana when drinking is legalized? Now,
I don't think everybody has. Hold that thought, Danny. We'll bring you back after the news here. I don't think everybody has a negative opinion of marijuana. Now, if that's the experience you're having in your life where everybody you know does, we should talk about that, because that doesn't happen in our lives here these days. Not even on the radio. We can't get people to call against marijuana these days. We're coming up.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-261-9818 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-261-9818. Again, 800-261-9818.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, June 9th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.78 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,299 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $23, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,672. Antiwar.com reports airstrikes against the Idlib province leveled a number of houses in the Zardana area, killing dozens of civilians. The exact death toll is contested, with some saying as many as 51 civilians were killed, while other tolls were lower. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has been the monitor offering most of the casualty estimates on the attack, and added it was probably Russian warplanes behind the attack. However, Russia denies that was the case. Russia's defense ministry says they did not carry out any airstrikes at all in the Idlib province. They pointed to a possible alternative, however, saying they'd seen reports of heavy artillery fire in the area amid rebel infighting. With so many different nations conducting airstrikes in Syria, it is often difficult or even impossible to determine who was responsible for any particular strike. This has both made it hard to reliably discern reality and worryingly allowed nations to deny involvement with at least some plausibility, even when they were ultimately proved to be behind it. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. UPI reports voters in 4 states this year will cast ballots to determine whether medical or recreational cannabis should be legalized, potentially expanding legal cannabis use to just shy of 2/3 of the states, even amid federal resistance to legal acceptance. Michigan is the only state to vote on recreational cannabis this year, in a measure similar to Colorado's existing recreational cannabis laws. Meanwhile, Utah, Oklahoma, and Missouri will vote on legalized medicinal cannabis. 29 states currently allow medicinal cannabis, with 9 states and the District of Columbia having legalized recreational cannabis. Despite the growing number of states legalizing cannabis, the U.S. federal government still has the right to prosecute people who violate cannabis-related federal crimes, causing confusion for states and citizens who are lawfully abiding by their state laws. A new bill introduced in Congress on Thursday could change that, all without federally legalizing cannabis. Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Cory Gardner of Colorado announced Thursday's bipartisan legislation that would give states the right to legalize or decriminalize cannabis within their borders without federal interference. The Strengthening the 10th Amendment Through Entrusting States Act, known as the States Act, would protect cannabis users from federal prosecution so long as they comply with the requirements in their state's cannabis laws. There are 2 exceptions, however: the prohibition of endangering human life while manufacturing a controlled substance, and the prohibition of employing persons under age 18 in cannabis operations. In a high-level endorsement on Friday, President Donald Trump told reporters he probably will end up supporting the Warren-Gardner bill. Critics of the bill point out the intentional vagueness of the legislation, which could allow for a number of loopholes that both the federal and state governments could exploit. Despite its lack of specificity on some key issues, the Warren-Gardner cannabis reform bill is considered by many to be the first step forward in cannabis legislation reform and a possible compromise amenable to entrenched interest on both sides. But the bill would not eliminate the long-standing federal prohibition on cannabis, even though 61% of Americans now support its legalization. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports President Donald Trump held out an olive branch in his feud with National Football League players on Friday, asking them for recommendations as he considers pardoning several thousand people who may be unfairly treated by the criminal justice system. But civil rights activists were skeptical of Trump's gesture. Trump has been highly critical of NFL players who have protested the fatal police shootings of unarmed minorities and systemic inequities by kneeling during the playing of the national anthem at football games. On Friday, Trump challenged those players to advise him on employing his pardon power. hours. He said his staff was examining some 3,000 cases of people who might deserve clemency. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following reports of a newly posted job listing at area marketing firm Swenson Digital, The Onion spoke to a few of the 1,400 applicants who claim they are, quote, absolutely perfect for this position.
When I first saw this opening, I knew it was right for me. I've got tons of experience. I've got all the skills they're looking for.
If you look at my resume, I've got everything they're looking for. I mean, I've held similar jobs like this in the past. I'm extremely driven. I really think this is going to work out.
I've got a BA in marketing, which the posting said was recommended, so I think that'll bode really well for me. I've had plenty of team experience, and I think that would stand out. Not to mention the fact that I'm great with
web design and HTML, and pretty proficient with Excel and PowerPoint. Also, I think the culture is
very me, you know? I think I'd fit in well with the other employees. I also think I had a great
resume and cover letter. I think as soon as they interview me, they'll see I'm the perfect candidate.
As of this video's release, Swenson Digital had extended a job offer to an applicant who happens to be a friend of the boss's son.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Launching into the second hour of the program here, live Saturday edition of the show. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian and Mark. We're talking about some surprisingly good news coming out of the federal government. Normally you don't hear those words put together, but you're hearing them tonight because of these, what they're calling the States Act. It has been filed this week by a bipartisan group that stands for Strengthening the 10th Amendment in Trusting States Act, meaning that if this passes in its current form, and Trump has said he supports it, then this will essentially roll back federal government enforcement of marijuana prohibition within the states who've legalized or decriminalized it, which is, if that happens, will be a huge step in the right direction.
It's federalism, and it's called the federal government for a reason. It's not intended to be an all-encompassing power. As a matter of fact, people call it a country. The United States isn't a country.
The Federation of States.
It's a federation of states, and
which are supposed to be sort of like individual countries almost.
That was the idea.
Yeah. So let's go back to Danny. He's still on the line with us here. By the way, toll-free number if you want to join us on this, 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733, or Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. Danny, you're in New Jersey. You're listening to WILM, actually out of Wilmington. And you say that is it true that in your life people are actually against cannabis? Does that happen?
Well, it really does seem so. It seems like with Sessions and his
Sessions is a politician. I said in your life.
Yeah, you're right. In my life. Yeah, well, yeah, because it seems like around here, if you get caught with even a roach or something like that, you're going to get arrested.
That's the government. Okay. Let's exclude the government goons. We know what they're going to do. I mean the people that are in your life, your friends, your neighbors, your family members, your coworkers. How many of them are saying things that are anti-cannabis legalization? Does that actually happen to you?
No,
okay,
it doesn't. I'm really going out of line here about talking about politicians, but
that's fine.
The reason I say that is because basically they're the ones that really can make your life miserable.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. All the politicians have to do. Those that purport to rule you will certainly, send out their stooges to solve their problems or whatever it might be, and then off you sit in the pokey for 6 months.
The average person, if somebody at your workplace or somebody in your neighborhood doesn't like the fact that you smoke cannabis, then it's no big deal. You just let the insults roll off your back, and that's the end of that. But the government has the ability to send men with guns in cages after you over this issue, and of course, that's going to be way more inconvenient.
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about, and I got a little joke for you that probably maybe you heard or not. But you go to a bar, you go to a keg party or something like that, and this is alcohol versus cannabis.
Sure.
Okay. So basically, you have a chance of having the cops called, fights break out and all kinds of stuff. I've been there, I've seen it.
Oh yeah.
Now you go to a pop party or something like that. There, it's going to be called as probably your local pizza parlor.
Yeah.
So right there, right there is pretty much the way I look at it.
And I can guarantee you the pizza delivery driver's already gotten blazed earlier that night. Thanks for the call tonight, Dan.
Yeah,
I
right.
appreciate it. Yep, he knows. He knows. It's the truth. I know you're not supposed to do it in dry, but the fact is people do that all the time, and they're fine. 855-450 free like freedom. 855-450-3733.
I didn't work long as a pizza delivery driver, so I couldn't speak to that. But I can say that
So you didn't work more than one night then?
It was a few nights. No one ever talked to me about it. But
I
I
didn't get to know them apparently.
No, I really didn't.
I've seen entire crew, at least one entire crew of a pizza store smoking pot out the back door.
Well, it's funny, but I can't neither confirm nor deny. But I can say, having worked in radio for 20-something years, that if you ran a drug test at most radio stations that I worked at, you'd have had to fire half the staff.
There was a guy who worked at the radio station where we worked in Florida, who everyone called his on-air name, his personality was Scott the Burnout.
Yeah.
So you don't want to test that guy. Toll-free number here tonight.
He's pretty serious about smoking marijuana from the looks of it. Yeah.
855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can, of course, bring up anything you want. We've been talking about this potential change here to the federal government that Trump has announced. He is going to support that the federal government not interfere with the states who've legalized or decriminalized cannabis. Senator Warren, who is one of the bipartisan crew here that has introduced this, and her state is expected to open its adult use cannabis market on July 1st, said, quote, outdated federal marijuana laws have perpetuated our broken criminal justice system, created barriers to research, and hindered economic development. States like Massachusetts have put a lot of work into implementing common sense marijuana regulations, and they have the right to enforce their own marijuana policies. The federal government needs to get out of the business of outlawing marijuana. Now, can we replace the word marijuana with all substances? I mean, will that day come in our lifetime where they will, apply their same supposed principle here, right? Because this is based on the principle of states should be able to make their own decisions. Well, shouldn't they also be able to make their own decisions on psychedelic mushrooms, on LSD, on heroin, on, all these other, prohibited substances the federal government has on a list? Shouldn't that be true for everything?
Sure.
The toll-free number here is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And that's where you're going to find the prohibitionists, right? Because it's almost impossible. You can unturn all kinds of rocks these days, and it's hard to find these prohibitionists out there, as that last caller just identified.
When it comes to marijuana.
When it comes to marijuana. But there are people who support...
If they are out there, they tend to work for the government.
Correct. And even...
Because, when it comes down to it, it's their job we're talking about.
That's true.
If we've got to throw a few people in jail for my job, well, I'm willing to do that. And I'm willing to justify it in my own mind. In the course of human history, when people have benefited from something, they tend to justify it.
That's true. And now that you're seeing some of these politicians on the horizon, they can see now the money. They can see the opportunity to invest in cannabis companies. They can see the opportunity, as we've seen recently with some of these politicians in D.C., flipping sides and now joining the boards of directors of cannabis corporations after being longtime advocates for prohibition.
Yeah. Who was that?
Boner, I believe, was one of them.
Boehner.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Toll-free number here, 855-450 free like freedom. So that's one example. Was it Bill Weld, former governor of Massachusetts, joined one of these cannabis corporation boards recently as well. So, again, you can bring up what you want here. You want to comment? Maybe you're one of those people who thinks, well, yeah, we ought to have cannabis prohibition ended, but we can't end prohibition all those other drugs. People hurt themselves with those other drugs. They're way more dangerous. I mean, you look at heroin right up there at the level of alcohol, doing all kinds of damage in people's lives. But is it the drug itself that does the damage, or is it the user that damages themselves for whatever reason? They have something wrong in their life, or that they perceive to be wrong, that they don't want to deal with, so they lose themselves in drug addiction.
Yeah, I'm really curious. In a world absent of drugs, obviously you can't create this, but in a world absent of drugs, wouldn't the losers be losers anyway? Just a guess. I don't know.
You can argue that, drug addiction might keep a loser for a longer time. Maybe they would be able to turn themselves around quicker if they didn't get hooked on some kind of substance. But then wouldn't they just get hooked on something else that would, take them out of the world, like people playing video games for 23 hours a day or something like that?
Something.
Right? We've heard of people who've lost their jobs, lost their girlfriends, lost all kinds of happy things in their lives because they had an addiction to video games. So let's go to John. He's in Indianapolis listening to WIBC FM. Hello, John.
Hello, how are you this evening?
Good, you're on the air.
Both of you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, anyway, we're talking about this old cannabis CBD oil thing, right?
Sure, you can talk about that. Go ahead.
I don't know if anybody's brought this to your attention yet, but if you legalize it and you say, okay, have to have a license to sell it at a store location. You can't just be willy-nilly about this. Then guess what? You can tax it.
Yeah, I mean,
think of all the revenue coming in.
It seems at this point like
you're
stating the
obvious.
obvious.
Selling it on the side, you bust them.
Well, I don't think that you should be busting anybody selling it on the side, but yeah, I mean that's what is persuasive to these politicians is the idea of taxation. It's absolutely
cops
true.
don't spend much time busting stills anymore.
John, thanks for the call tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450 free like freedom. That said, Mark, our co-host Johnny Ray got busted with a still like a decade ago here in Keene. So it does still happen.
It does happen.
Though they didn't arrest him for it.
No.
Thank goodness. More coming up here in moments. They just took the still, probably took it home and used it for themselves.
Right.
It's Free Talk Live.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.fm. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, inviting you to join us here on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. They are the premier website to go to if you want to learn the basics about cryptocurrency. And the fact is, a lot of people still in the dark on this issue. I was just out at the New Hampshire Peace Action, I guess not seminar, but annual meeting that they had today for the first time ever, and there was a provision or a potential move to amend their rules to allow them to accept cryptocurrency, and that resulted in a very interesting discussion, which kind of was able to take the temperature of a room full of mostly elderly folks on their viewpoints about cryptocurrency or the lack thereof. And there was a wide range. There was one older gentleman who had himself an entire Bitcoin, as well as some of the altcoins.
Oh, wow.
And there were others. There was one guy who was critical and skeptical, and there were others who had some good questions, and others who'd heard some myths about it. And so the kind of a wide range of people. But there were, I would say, of the room, of those who spoke, and there was a fair amount of them that did on the subject, most of them at the very least knew that cryptocurrency exists, and they certainly had heard about Bitcoin. So if you want to learn the basics, go to Bitcoin.com. They've also got the latest news headlines. So if you want to get in touch with what's been happening in the world of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically, you can go to news.bitcoin.com. No better site to go and kind of get started with Bitcoin.
Yeah, if you have a negative opinion of cryptocurrency, most of my experience finding people who have a negative opinion of cryptocurrency, they don't know what it is.
Correct.
So
or they've been lied to about it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of reading would help you out. I read about things that I disagree with all the time in order to find out more. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe.
So, Bitcoin.com, let's go back to your calls and thoughts. We've been talking about drug prohibition, ending drug prohibition, and we're seeing maybe a pullback coming from the federal government in the world of cannabis if the new States Act that was introduced this week passes. Patrick, you're on Free Talk Live, listening to WIBC. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, Patrick.
Seems to me that at the very least it should be up to the states, and I think that actually it should be totally legal, period.
Absolutely.
What you put in your body is your own business. You go down to the liquor store or whatever and buy some heroin, put it in your arm before you hit the road. 5 years in prison you get caught driving like that. You go home and kill yourself, put them in the ground. Just through natural selection alone, the human race become a better thing.
I think that's a true statement.
Yeah, I would feel for the families that are out there, but
no doubt, drug
the reality
is a tragedy.
Is that people make poor choices all the time, and they don't always have to do with drugs, and that suicidal people are going to suicide in many cases, whether you want them to or not.
Right. The reality is people are going to make poor choices whether or not prohibition exists, and all that prohibition does is it's going to make their life worse. So, if you have a drug addiction and that's your only problem, well, it's certainly a personal tragedy. But if they then go ahead and put you in a prison cell while you're a drug addict, for a lot of people, that makes their lives worse off, even though they may not be able to get the drugs while they're in jail, although frequently they can get some kind of drugs, especially in prison.
It's really not that complicated.
Yeah.
It's really not that complicated. It's really not. Life's really pretty simple, and then people complicate it.
Yeah,
that's true. Patrick, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
And going back to what I had said earlier, you really can't legislate anyone to be a winner, to be successful, to be a good parent. You can't legislate that. You can legislate, don't hurt people, don't kill people, don't set people's houses on fire, like the don'ts, but the do's. That's what the drug warriors really want to do. Is they want to legislate the do's.
Do what I say.
Do go out there and work hard. Do be a good parent. Do all these things, and they presume that the drugs are getting in the way. But I think the drugs in many cases are the symptom of the problem. And I'm sorry to say that people who make bad decisions are often going to have more kids than people who make good ones. And so therefore, you're going to have kids dealing with bad decisions. Kids have been dealing with bad parents for as long as there have been kids and parents, sorry to say. Getting over that, getting over the bad parent, whatever that might be, is just part of adulthood.
Let's go to Lisa. She's listening to WIBC as well on the FM band in Indianapolis. Hello, Lisa.
Yes, hello.
Hey there.
I'm traveling from Indy, going down to Jeffersonville, Indiana.
All right.
And I work with the homeless down there and people that come out of jail. And yes, I think pot needs to be legalized. And it grows from the ground. Heroin, no. It is man-made. You don't know what you're getting in it, and also with spice. And we have lost people to that because they don't know what they're getting in it, and they die.
Yep. Well, part of the reasons that we have, we addressed bathtub gin previously. Part of the reasons that we don't know what's in a given batch of heroin is because heroin isn't legal. I mean, when you buy a Kit Kat bar, approximately the amount of chocolate and delicious wafer that you're going to get. Yep. And, maybe the competitors to Kit Kat bars, whatever those are, you got some general idea. Whereas with heroin, so there's no regulation in the marketplace. There's no licensure, anything that might exist to control this stuff. It's all black market and there's no controls. That's what you get. I'm not saying that heroin in the absence of, in it being illegal or legal would suddenly just be good for you to take. I'm sure lots and lots and lots of people would choose to abuse it.
No, but you'd have to choose to overdose if heroin were legal, because most overdoses happen these days because of that.
You could still make a mistake.
You could.
You could be so high you did it again.
Okay, there's that. But most overdoses, Mark, happen because the heroin batches are different between one and the other, and the person may not know what to expect. And anyway, go ahead, Lisa.
And also we see with the people we deal with heroin and spice that they do have issues and they do need help and treatment with those type drugs.
But something you also probably noticed, and tell me if you've noticed this, though. If you force someone into treatment, they're not as likely to take, right? They're not as likely to have positive results if they're forced in versus when they're finally ready.
You can't force anybody.
Right.
No, you can't
they got to hit their own bottom.
Treatment. That's exactly right. That's all I had to say.
Great call, Lisa. Thanks for sharing that with us tonight. Again, that's Lisa. She works with homeless regularly down there, so she's with some of the people with the toughest situations in life, and you just can't force people into treatment. Which, if people try to make their legalization scheme like, well, we'll decriminalize it by forcing people into treatment, we'll free up the jail space. Well, it's good to free up jail space, no doubt. But if you actually want to help somebody, you can't put them in a treatment program against their will, and that actually hurts the people who are in the program who've chosen to be there.
It hurts them a great deal. Really, this Narcotics Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous, one of the first things they'll say is the only qualification for membership is a desire to stop using.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, which
Otherwise,
means
get out.
That when the judges and police and whatever mandate that people go to these programs, they're already undermining the program from the beginning because these people aren't qualified to be there. They shouldn't be in the room if they don't have a desire to stop drinking or using.
Yeah, if your only commitment...
If you have no desire for it, please get the F out of here. Stop eating donuts.
Yeah. If your only commitment is the fact that there's a man with a gun who's going to, throw you in a cell waiting for you somewhere if you don't show up at meetings, then you don't belong there.
Yeah, it's best if you just go.
All right, the toll-free number tonight is 855-450, free like freedom. So the federal government poised to potentially significantly roll back the prohibition on cannabis and actually respect states' decisions, state government, and the peoples of those states' decisions to end their government prohibitions on cannabis. It's a step in the right direction. Hopefully this thing's going to go through this year, and if so, you may see an avalanche of states legalizing it as a result of that.
You may.
There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
Healthcare reform is confusing, but whether it's finding an affordable insurance plan, keeping your doctor, or being able to afford needed prescriptions, navigating the healthcare system has become a challenge. Control your own healthcare costs and choices with Liberty HealthShare. Liberty HealthShare is not insurance. It is an association of self-pay patients who unite with like-minded people to share the cost of each other's medical needs. Neighbor helping neighbor. Learn more now by going to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype as well. The Skype username is lrn.fm. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Zencash. Been a big week for Zencash. And actually, I have not checked the price within. We've been so busy. We just got back from New York City late last night, Mark. I just have not even thought to go and check and see how's Zencash doing after the 51% attack that happened about a week ago. I think it was Sunday last week. That as a result of that, they found some pretty severe. They found some deficiencies that needed to be fixed, and they were working on that. The deficiency in this case is the deficiency of the 51% attack that affects all cryptocurrencies, but certainly the smaller ones more so than the larger ones. And Zencash is relatively new to the scene, started in 2017, but it sounds like they are really going to do what they can to solve these issues on into the future. We had a great interview with one of the founders of Zencash, Rob Viglione, earlier this week. That is up on our guests page at guest.freetalklive.com. If you wanted to check that out, if you missed that particular episode and you've heard about the mythical or not so mythical 51% attack, and you want to learn more about it, that's a great resource to do that. And then you'll learn more about what's happening with Zencash into the future. They've got some cool stuff planned. Right now, they're the number 2 in full secure nodes out there. They've got over 11,000 secure nodes, and it is the Ethereum crypto that has more than them. So they're beating Bitcoin in number of nodes. And of course, the Zencash has secure nodes while Bitcoin has full nodes, and the secure nodes get paid to run their nodes. And it's one of the things we learned something about during that interview.
That much is true.
Go to Zencash.com to learn more about Zencash. They've got some of the best technology like zero-knowledge anonymity and some of the best founding ideas like voluntarism. Go to Zencash.com. As we continue with your calls and thoughts here, it's David calling us from Jackson, Michigan, listening to WKHM. Hello, David.
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, thank you. Just want to make a quick comment about this marijuana thing.
Sure.
I would love to see it legalized, especially here in Michigan. I don't smoke it. I probably won't smoke it even after it's legalized, but I would love to see it legalized just to put the drug cartels out of business.
It would certainly hurt them.
So
I mean, there's no doubt that cannabis is a huge factor when it comes to the drug cartels' profits. And if you can take that out of their hands, then, well, they'll still have other drugs that are prohibited to deal with, which is why you ought to end all drug prohibition, and then they'll have nothing that they can do illegally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but one thing I've seen an article. I think it was in the Colorado thing they were talking about, where drug cartels are opening up dispensaries in Colorado now.
No,
a drug cartel that opens a dispensary is just a business. I mean, at some point or another, the mafia went straight in New York, right? And then they just ran the garbage company. I mean, it's only organized crime when they're committing crime. Otherwise, it's just an organization.
Yeah,
good point.
But it seems like there should be some kind of regulation that only U.S. citizens can open dispensaries.
Well, why would you want to restrict the freedom of other people to open up a business in the United States?
Because if they're not citizens of America, if they're here illegally,
well, what does it mean to be a citizen of America?
Well, if they're opening their own business, at least they're not stealing your job.
What does it mean though to be a citizen of America? What's that mean?
To be a sworn citizen.
Are you a sworn citizen?
To be a person that the United States government claims as a serf.
Did you ever? No, I want to hear from David. Did you swear to be a citizen?
No, I didn't. I was born into it. I was a naturalized citizen or a sworn citizen. How's that?
Okay, but what does it actually mean to be a citizen? If you are one, can you define it?
Well, I'm just saying you're part. You belong to the country, more or less.
You belong.
You certainly do.
So you're not an outsider. I mean, it's like me. If I go to France, can I just open up a store and start selling drugs there too?
I don't know the answer as to what you can do.
Do you want to be
France.
like France?
But we should not attempt to emulate less free places. We should try to emulate more free places.
Yeah. So if you go and look it up,
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that if we have legalized marijuana dispensaries here in America, they should be run by Americans at least, not illegal people that are here illegally.
What if you can't get the Americans to do it? It's darn difficult to get them to do some jobs.
Yeah.
Even like going out into the fields and actually picking cannabis or whatever.
Right. One of the reasons that you've seen produce prices go up here in the United States is because Americans won't pick produce.
No, so here's what I don't understand, David, is if you can see the benefit in legalizing or ending prohibition on a plant, well, shouldn't you also be able to see the benefit in ending the prohibition of people?
Yeah, but I would rather see it owned and operated by people in America, and the money stay in America.
That's nice. So then what you can do is you can only buy your cannabis from people who are born in America. But otherwise, you're talking about prohibiting people from seeking freedom. You're talking about prohibiting people from coming here. I mean, you support prohibition? Because that's what you're talking about.
They can come here legally. I'm saying they can come here legally. But not an illegal immigrant that comes here illegally that breaks our laws to come into our country.
Your
and
laws.
They come in and sell the drugs and then sell.
You know what I think about your laws?
Let me ask you this: would you generally consider politicians to be liars and thieves?
Oh God, yes.
Then why in the world do you want foreign people to obey the scribblings of liars and thieves?
Well,
because in this case, the thieves are working on your side. Come on. Seriously, governments around the world, whether it's this one or the rest of them, are corrupt. And the idea that you're going to just say that this government, which claims the fruit of your labor here, should somehow give you preference, it doesn't make particularly a lot of sense.
Well, he has to obey them, Mark, so should everyone else.
People should be able to... Free people can cross the borders of free countries freely, or you don't have free people and you don't have free countries. That's the end of the story. If you want a free country, you need to figure out a solution that does not include restricting movement. I got a solution for you. Here's your solution. You stop welfare. I say stop it across the board, but at the very least, make people that come to this country sign a piece of paper that says if they use welfare, they're going to go to prison for 5 years. Secondly, you allow, you say, look, if you want to come to this country and work, that's awesome. You won't be able to vote. Period. End of story. You're going to get a second-class form of citizenship that does not include voting. How's that sound to you?
Well, if that's the way the law is, I mean, we have to...
I don't care what the law says. The law used to say that white people could own black people. The law sucks, okay?
No.
Yes, it did.
Yeah,
the law said that. That's the best example I can come up with. Would you like me to find other bad laws from history?
Oh, wait a minute. The law said that white people can own black people?
They did.
You seriously didn't know that?
Census of 1860 showed there is 3,800 black families that own black slaves.
That's absolutely true. I believe that
the law allowed people to own people.
Specifically in Alabama, I believe that black people were basically disallowed from being free. So there's different states had different rules. There's absolutely true that black people own black people, and the first slave owner in this country was a black person. But it doesn't change the fact that black people, by and large, were owned in the 1860s, and the white people, by and large, were the owners of those people.
Right. Well, your point is
that's really not the point. The point is that liars and thieves write crap on paper, and we're not going to pretend like that's okay, are we, David?
Yeah, probably not.
There you go.
Thanks for the call
Speaking
tonight.
of liars and thieves, then. So I got another example for you. Liars and thieves. The FDA. Let's look at the FDA.
Yeah.
The FDA is there to supposedly protect us. The FDA regulates tobacco now. You can still buy tobacco. Do you realize how many seconds are there in a year? About 500,000. Okay?
I'll take your word for it.
How many deaths? Yeah, it is. 365 days a year times 24 times 60 is about a little over 500,000. How many deaths a year do you think there are due to tobacco?
In America
about
or the world?
500,000.
Okay.
So this is just in America.
They're not there to protect you, as you've already pointed out. The FDA is there to protect established corporations through its regulations that prohibit competition from innovators and upstarts. And those innovators and upstarts could include immigrants here as well. Thank you for the call tonight, David. But the government gets in the way of progress. The government gets in the way of freedom. The government destroys your freedom. And if you let them destroy other people's freedom, if you think, oh, well, they'll only target immigrants, if I'll just do what I'm told, you're part of the problem. There's more coming up here, 855, 450 free, because they are going to target you, and they are targeting you. They're taking what you've earned for yourself and your family. Don't get jealous of anybody else that's able to avoid that. Those people are heroes. They should be celebrated. It's Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Fred's a repeater.
I tend to repeat.
Fred has a business.
I do have a business.
And a problem. Fred repeats the same tired advertising over and over, and now it doesn't work.
Over and over.
But Fred is about to see a vision.
I'm seeing a vision.
Advertising on the Genesis Communications Network is the smart way for Fred to reach his potential customers with the most affordable national advertising rates, period. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just email advertise@gcnlive.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here and bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Discord, by the way. Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you to call in and sound like you're almost like you're sitting here in the studio with Ian and Mark in the studio with you tonight. Our Discord is available to you at discord.lrn.fm. That's the website you can go to. You can also get their app and hook up that way. It's a chat service with voice chat and text chat rooms of different topics, one of them specifically for Free Talk Live, others for like cryptocurrency or gaming or different other things people might want to discuss. And it's free to use. And as you mentioned earlier, Mark, there frequently are as many as 80 to 100 people on the server, and they're there before, during, and after Free Talk Live. So head over to discord.lrn.fm. As we continue here, you can bring up what you want. Let's go to, I believe we've got Michael in New Mexico. Michael, where are you calling from in New Mexico?
I'm calling from Alamogordo, New Mexico, in the south.
Excellent. You are on the air with Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
I take offense to the fact of legalizing any cannabis or any type of marijuana.
Oh, I'm so glad you called. We've been looking for you for years.
Let me tell you that, yes, I would agree to it for medical use only, but it needs to be regulated very, very strongly against the recreational use.
Okay, why?
Because it's a gateway drug that, how do you think people that get started with this opium, the heroin, and epidemic that we've got going on, except by zoning out by the use recreationally of pot? They can't deal with society, so they go to pot, and that isn't enough. So they go to harder drugs.
It may very well be the case that they can't deal with society and that they, tried different methods to get there. But, as I said earlier, losers are going to be losers, whether stuff is illegal or absent or whatever. There's going to be some drug in the future that we've never heard about that losers are going to use.
But Mark, if you just put them in prison,
that'll help. Prison will fix it, right? Do you think that prison's a good solution for this?
But the problem is,
we just picked up on a script
use
there.
it. Like that last caller that wouldn't use marijuana if it was legalized. We are going to be driving down the road. We are going to be plagued with it. With
this
people
guy believes
that are spaced out on their drugs.
Okay, so
and that
you currently are driving down the road with people who are drunk on alcohol, and they're far more dangerous. Their study's been done.
But Mark, it's illegal to drink and
true.
drive. Clearly,
but
people don't do it.
Why legalize?
You're not introducing it.
Another problem.
Newsflash: you're not introducing marijuana. Marijuana has already introduced in your communities.
I guarantee you, on your roads in Alamogordo right now are multiple people, stoned drivers. Multiple. I don't know how many of them there are, but there's probably more than you might imagine. Because, hey, I got news for you. When they prohibit things, people do it anyway. So legalizing cannabis isn't going to make your roads more dangerous in any way, shape, or form.
Of course it is.
No,
you're
it's just in your fantasy.
allowing it to be done freely. And the other you know what the good solution to this would be?
No, Michael. It's not allowed in any state to drive under the influence of narcotic substances.
Yeah, and one of the really cool things about it is there aren't bars for marijuana, whereas
there will be someday.
The zoning organization, the zoning committees out there have made it so that bars are far from people's houses. Back in the day, you used to be able to walk to them and that kind of thing. They'd be one in every neighborhood. Now you've got to drive to them, which make it so that people have to, when they drink too much, they have to drive home, or they feel like they have to. They shouldn't. Marijuana, the vast majority of the people are smoking in their own homes, so they're not going to be on the roads anyway.
But, Michael, you never answered Mark's question earlier. I want to make sure you get a chance to hear it. Maybe you didn't hear Mark ask the question. Mark, your question was about prison and jail. And you had asked Michael, and tell me if I'm wrong about this. I'm recapping here. Michael, do you think jail and prison actually helps drug addicts?
No, it doesn't. You know what would be the help? Take any. They confiscate tons and tons of marijuana.
Yeah.
They know where the marijuana is. They can't confiscate it. Turn it over to the military, CW, chemical warfare people. Let them treat it. Put it out on the streets. The first use of it, people get deathly ill. The second use, if they do it, it's terminal.
Wow, you are insane, sir. So
they did this to alcohol back in the Prohibition era. You know that failed too, right?
I know that failed. We've still got that problem.
You know what? Murder? Here's what I think. Here's what I think. Anybody who advocates for this, anybody who participates in this, should be put on trial for murder. That's what I think.
You mean what he just said?
Yeah, what he said. It's
what are you murdering?
Murder.
You're not murdering.
Yes, sir. If you poison people,
that's good for our society.
You poison people without their knowledge, sir, that is murder. That is attempted and successful murder.
They would be knowledgeable. They would know that.
I don't care if you tell them. You're a madman.
You're
You're
insane.
absolutely mad.
Okay, well, I asked for a prohibitionist to call in here tonight, and we got a real live prohibitionist here, Michael. Is there any more brilliant words that you would like to share, brilliant concepts that you'd like to share with our audience about how you want to exterminate human life, those people who smoke cannabis?
Cannabis is something that should be maintained as illegal. It is not a good thing for our society. It does not do anything positive. It just coats it makes the rich people richer, and that's it. Wow. And it'll make those that are smoking it, that are potheads, and negative parts of our society.
What if I could show you, since you said, it doesn't do anything positive, what if I could show you people who are in your neighborhood, people who are in your town, who are very successful individuals, who are successful, businessmen, doctors, other people who smoke cannabis and have smoked cannabis for years of their lives and have been very, very successful. Would you believe it?
I believe that, yes, they've hidden that. They obviously have some serious mental issues that they need to be treated for, because they don't belong in a society, a sane, sober society. Obviously,
where do you live? We have a sane, sober society?
Do you also want to bring back alcohol prohibition?
Do you want to know something?
Yes.
My daughter started with cannabis and was a year and a half ago was a fatality to heroin and fentanyl.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay, and there is the proof. The people that look at the statistics of those dying from heroin and fentanyl,
you'll find that they smoked cigarettes first.
End result of cannabis legalization.
You'll find that they smoked cigarettes before they smoked marijuana.
What percentage of people?
And it was legal.
What percentage of people who smoke marijuana do you think go on to use heroin?
Probably 100%. Or they stay on it, and they're just
a madman. You have no idea. Have you? I mean, I just can't even believe that you believe that. Are you for real?
I worked with people. I've tried to give people the incentive to work, and they've become these potheads.
Losers
that
are
have
losers.
no ambition.
Look, I'm not claiming that I'm not claiming that drug addicts are good people. Losers are losers, but the losers are going to be losers whether you poison the marijuana crops or not.
So I've got a radio show here, Michael.
Why foster that? Why should we foster that by legalizing it?
You're not fostering anything. You're stopping putting people in a prison cell, dude.
You could look at the statistics that's come out of Colorado. You could look at Portugal. You could look at places around the world, around America, and you can see that things are not getting worse as a result of marijuana.
Thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Wow. 100% of marijuana users will go on to use heroin, according to this guy.
The man's in pain. His daughter died from heroin.
That's tough, man.
It's tough.
That's tough.
It's a tough world, and
but stop blaming the drugs.
But
stop blaming the other users who are responsible.
Well, it's
your daughter was irresponsible and she killed herself.
No, it wasn't just that. Remember, the federal government makes this illegal, and she probably couldn't figure out dosage.
That could be a factor.
You know, and she could very well likely be alive today with a drug problem that could be treated, as opposed to with a death problem that cannot be.
So the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom, and to advocate for the death through the poisoning of plants, of the cannabis plant, for the death of its users. Man, I got to say, that's maybe the sickest thing I've ever heard a prohibitionist say here on Free Talk Live.
He's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, that's no excuse.
Well,
you don't get to lash out and hurt other people just because somebody in your family did something that hurts you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. I'm sorry that happened to you, dude, but to blame an inanimate object for the choices of a human being is to move the onus of responsibility, and it's not fair. It's not fair. Cannabis is a plant that grows naturally. Animals eat it naturally, and so do humans. There's more coming up here in moments. Hour number 3 is on the way. If you want to join us, 855-450-FREE like freedom.
If you owe money to the IRS, you need to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. It starts with a devastating letter, and if you don't act immediately, you could find yourself having your wages garnished or have a lien placed on your property. But there's a solution. Tax 10,000 can help. Avoid enforced compliance, where these holds on your income and seizure of your home could become a nightmare that just won't end. Call 800-239-9957 now and speak to one of our experts. 800-239-9957 is the number to link you directly to a tax resolution specialist who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, all the forms will be handled for you. All you have to do is make the toll-free call. 800-239-9957. Find out if you qualify and possibly save yourself thousands of dollars, not to mention a lot of headaches. It could be the best call you've made today. That number again, 800-239-9957. The service does not provide tax settlement or legal services. We will refer you to a company that does provide such services. Often the IRS will not agree to any reduction in the amount owed. Not all taxpayers who owe more than $10,000 will qualify for a tax reduction program.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, June 9th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.78 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,299 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $23, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,672. Antiwar.com reports airstrikes against the Idlib province leveled a number of houses in the Zardana area, killing dozens of civilians. The exact death toll is contested, with some saying as many as 51 civilians were killed, while other tolls were lower. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has been the monitor offering most of the casualty estimates on the attack, and added it was probably Russian warplanes behind the attack. However, Russia denies that was the case. Russia's defense ministry says they did not carry out any airstrikes at all in the Idlib province. They pointed to a possible alternative, however, saying they'd seen reports of heavy artillery fire in the area amid rebel infighting. With so many different nations conducting airstrikes in Syria, it is often difficult or even impossible to determine who was responsible for any particular strike. This has both made it hard to reliably discern reality and worryingly allowed nations to deny involvement with at least some plausibility, even when they were ultimately proved to be behind it. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. UPI reports voters in 4 states this year will cast ballots to determine whether medical or recreational cannabis should be legalized, potentially expanding legal cannabis use to just shy of 2/3 of the states, even amid federal resistance to legal acceptance. Michigan is the only state to vote on recreational cannabis this year, in a measure similar to Colorado's existing recreational cannabis laws. Meanwhile, Utah, Oklahoma, and Missouri will vote on legalized medicinal cannabis. 29 states currently allow medicinal cannabis, with 9 states and the District of Columbia having legalized recreational cannabis. Despite the growing number of states legalizing cannabis, the U.S. federal government still has the right to prosecute people who violate cannabis-related federal crimes, causing confusion for states and citizens who are lawfully abiding by their state laws. A new bill introduced in Congress on Thursday could change that, all without federally legalizing cannabis. Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Cory Gardner of Colorado announced Thursday's bipartisan legislation that would give states the right to legalize or decriminalize cannabis within their borders without federal interference. The Strengthening the 10th Amendment through Entrusting States Act, known as the States Act, would protect cannabis users from federal prosecution so long as they comply with the requirements in their state's cannabis laws. There are two exceptions, however: the prohibition of endangering human life while manufacturing a controlled substance and the prohibition of employing persons under age 18 in cannabis operations. In a high-level endorsement on Friday, President Donald Trump told reporters he probably will end up supporting the Warren-Gardner bill. Critics of the bill point out the intentional vagueness of the legislation, which could allow for a number of loopholes that both the federal and state governments could exploit. Despite its lack of specificity on some key issues, the Warren-Gardner cannabis reform bill is considered by many to be the first step forward in cannabis legislation reform and a possible compromise amenable to entrenched interest on both sides. But the bill would not eliminate the long-standing federal prohibition on cannabis, even though 61% of Americans now support its legalization. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports President Donald Trump held out an olive branch in his feud with National Football League players on Friday, asking them for recommendations as he considers pardoning several thousand people who may be unfairly treated by the criminal justice system. But civil rights activists were skeptical of Trump's gesture. Trump has been highly critical of NFL players who have protested the fatal police shootings of unarmed minorities and systemic inequities by kneeling during the playing of the national anthem at football games. On Friday, Trump challenged those players to advise him on employing his pardon power. He said his staff was examining some 3,000 cases of people who might deserve clemency. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Raccoon leaders call for the loosening of garbage can lids. This is Doyle Redland reporting. In a 4 a.m. speech at the group's annual Washington, D.C. convention this morning, North American Raccoon Federation President Bristletail called upon homeowners to loosen the lids of their garbage cans, providing the ring-tailed mammals with greater access to discarded food scraps during nocturnal scavenging.
Every time you seal a standard 30-gallon garbage can, as many as 6 raccoons are forced to go without their necessary daily supply of congealed baked beans, rancid cottage cheese chunks, and moldy cantaloupe rinds.
The 26-pound varmint closed his speech with a stern warning that without raccoons, possums could take over the world. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Bring up anything you want here. Our number 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian
and Mark.
We've been talking about prohibition, mostly the prohibition of cannabis. But whenever you talk about one prohibition, you got to talk about them all, and specifically how it is that prohibition doesn't work. If you want to try to control people's behavior, you're going to fail. And not only are you going to fail, you're going to fail spectacularly. You're going to fail from almost every single aspect. Yeah, sure, you're going to put some people in prison. That's happened. There's going to be all kinds of unintended consequences, however, because those people you put in prison, very few of them are actually going to use the time to make their lives better. They're going to, in fact, count the days until they're able to get out and use whatever substance they're looking forward to using the most. Or they'll just acquire their substance in prison.
Most of them aren't, when it comes to marijuana, most of them aren't going to go to jail. They're just going to pay more fines to a government that's going to get more bloated. Police department's going to buy more military-type stuff. They're going to get more invasive. They're going to destroy the 4th and 5th Amendments to the United States Constitution, as has happened throughout the drug war. And, frankly, you're not going to be any better off.
Certainly
the United
not.
States is no better off 30 years after the drug war.
It's been probably like 40 years at this point. But so yeah, for those of you just tuning in, the proposal on the table, the federal government, a little bit of good news, is an act that would purport, if it is passed in its current form, to actually roll back the federal government's prohibitions in the states in which they've rolled back prohibition. So if you're in a state where there's some decriminalization, some medical marijuana, or full-on legalization of cannabis, the federal government, if this bill passes and Trump says he's going to likely support it, then the federal government will stay out. We'll leave those states alone. And that's what they ought to be doing, which is to say nothing in the states that have chosen to legalize cannabis. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. You can bring up what you want here. Matthew, actually watching us online at cam.freetalklive.com. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, no, actually it was on YouTube, but
okay. You know, you can watch us in a higher
So-
resolution on Twitch, right? Just so you know.
Right, but that requires installing another app, and my poor digital devices are like a gazillion years old.
Gotcha.
As a matter of fact, my LG Realm just died this morning.
Yikes. All right, well,
I killed
anyway,
it, really, but
go
it
ahead with what you were
died.
calling about.
Well, I'm glad you brought that one up, and there was another one, and I saw this on Breitbart, which, if you really want a kind of a read, like a 50-50 read on the Trump administration, Breitbart's not a bad source. And they were talking about at the G7, he said, hey, if you zero out your tariffs, we'll zero out ours.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took off to points unknown.
And where did he say this?
He said that, yes.
G7, okay.
So I was like, huh, how about that? Now, don't tell the Trump worshipers this because they'll be massively upset. And another thing that's been going on that hasn't been making the news is, Mark, you remember the story you brought in about the blue crabs and...
Yeah, Maryland.
That sounds really gross. Blue crabs. I think there's a picture of that on the internet, and it is not fun to look at.
Yeah, don't Google that.
No, I'm not talking about the VD. I'm talking about the seafood.
Okay, what about blue crabs?
In Maryland, the blue crab industry...
In Maryland.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they were suffering from a shortage of workers. Well, they must be listening to Free Talk Live at the White House because guess what? They got their workers.
Tell me about what is going on. The shortage of workers. What was the point of that?
The Trump administration gave
There
them
was apparently there was some holdup in the H1N1B visa. It sounds like a venereal.
It does sound
disease,
like.
for God's sake.
Yeah.
And there was a holdup in them getting the ladies up from Mexico that they normally get to pick these blue crabs.
And by picking, they mean pick the meat out of them.
Ah.
It's a skill, and it's largely a skill held by immigrants, and the pay isn't really fabulous or anything like that, but the whole area
But
in
it's not
Maryland...
bad either.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not great. Yeah.
If you want to smell seafood all day. Ugh.
Can see what
I would imagine they probably do not want seafood by the time they go home to Mexico at the end of the crab season.
So what is it? So they sped up some kind of process to let them in? I mean, what's the exact news here?
Well, they were held up, and then apparently somehow the Trump administration got a wind of this and said, oh, wow, I guess we'd better let them in. So that's going on, but that's got all the Trump worshipers like,
right. And I imagine there's some of them who are mad at him for supporting cannabis legalization or decriminalization in this way that he's talking about too. So, he is, to his credit, he's one of the more entertaining politicians, probably the most entertaining politician to watch that I've had in my lifetime.
Yeah, I would say that's true. But if the economy looks in 2 years like it looks today, Trump's going to be reelected. It doesn't really make a difference what he does.
Matthew, thanks for the call tonight. Go ahead.
Well, wait, hold on, hold on. I've got two more quick things. This is I saw this on the Truth About Guns. Midway's YouTube channel got dropped. Midway, the firearms accessory retailer, their YouTube channel just got dropped. I'm like, what's going on there? And in California, they passed a law requiring the registration of basically modern semi-automatic firearms, a detachable box magazine, even the California version. And some farmer in California decided he was going to comply with the law, and he got raided by the California Department of Justice, and they took all of his guns away. And he is looking at a 15-year prison sentence.
If you're a gun owner, you really probably should consider leaving places like California, Illinois, and these other very anti-gun friendly places. Matthew, thank you for the call. If you got more, call us tomorrow. Ciao. We'll be there then. We're here with you every single night, 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time. If you don't get us live, you can always listen later over at freetalklive.com whenever you want. Let's go and continue with your calls and thoughts here. We've got Seth. He's on the line, listening on Twitch or watching on Twitch. Seth, you're on Free Talk Live. Where are you calling from tonight?
I'm calling from Kansas.
Welcome. You're on the air. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think, we need better outreach.
Are you, sorry to interrupt you, are you talking right into your phone, or are you on like a speakerphone?
I'm talking on a speakerphone.
Okay, if you could take it off a speaker, it would be a lot better.
All right.
And
so I think...
Much better.
I just graduated in high school, and, it starts at a young age. First it's vaping, then kids get into weed and stuff, and eventually a small percentage are gonna get into that. But
is that
I
heroin?
Think, they could, but not necessarily.
Sure.
I'm not familiar with that, but I think if we kind of get better outreach, kids don't realize that how important high school is.
How important is high school?
Honestly, it's really important. If you work your ass off in high school, you're probably set for a good life.
I'd say that's true. If you work your ass off in high school, you're liable to be the kind of person who works your ass off in college or works your ass off in vocational school.
That's true.
Who then goes out and works your ass off in life. But I can tell you as a high school graduate, living with high school graduates my whole life, that I've never seen anyone flash that piece of paper to somebody and say, "High school graduate, baby," slap it to the table and say, "What, mate? What?" It's a pretty meaningless piece of paper in and of itself. It is high school. Is your life, and so you function inside your life the way you function inside your life, and that's great. Putting together good habits is really awesome, but I gotta say that the piece of paper itself isn't particularly useful. If I would have just gone ahead and in 11th grade taken my GED and then decided to go on to community college or something else like that, it probably wouldn't have changed anything but my dating life.
Right. What is, really ultimately, and thank you, Seth, for the call. I really appreciate hearing from you tonight. Ultimately, it's really about the drive of the individual. Does that person want to learn? If so, they can learn without high school. They can learn with so many different online tools and other tools that are out there to provide information these days. Really pretty unnecessary. And in fact, then they won't get all the government indoctrination. In fact, I've got a story about homeschooled people and how they're more likely to be entrepreneurs.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories, while I say these hobgoblins are imaginary. I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. It is the live Saturday edition of the program. As always, you're invited to join us here on the radio, take control of the airwaves. The us includes me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
We've got Skype as well. You can Skype into the show. In fact, we're going to go to that shortly here. Skype username is lrn.fm. Also, our Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you as well at discord.lrn.fm. And that's where we're going first, where we've got Robert on the line. He's in Vermont. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live on our Discord.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
The guy at the end of the second hour, he talked about, that they should, poison, the marijuana place. That was actually going on back in the early 70s.
Really?
It was talked a lot about, where the United States encouraged Mexico to use, it's called paraquat. And it's a weed killer, and it's the stuff is just absolutely deadly. And I read this part of this article here when I looked it up, and it causes a lot of health problems. It's swallowed, it's fatal. I don't know, but that guy that said that they should be spraying these plants is just out of his mind.
Yeah.
I can't believe I was just blown away when I heard him say that.
It was shocking.
Think of that.
And yes, I understand it's terrible that his daughter died as a result of her of drug abuse, or maybe improperly dosed, or whatever it was that happened in her story. We don't know the exact details there. I'm sorry that happened to him, but that is not an excuse to advocate the further hurting of people around you, the further potential killing of people who are your neighbors and
other people's children,
co-workers, and other people's children. So you don't get to. I'm sorry. You also don't even get to murder her dealer. Okay, I know that's the most popular one, right? Where you hear about somebody dying of heroin, it's like then people are always talking tough about, I'm gonna go kill her dealer. Her dealer murdered her, and no, her dealer provided her with a product that she came to him for. Likely.
Right.
I mean, we don't know the exact details in the case,
Well,
but
dealers
99
in all
times out of
likelihood
100
don't want to kill their the people that buy from them.
Right.
But they may very well not know what they're selling.
They may not.
That's a problem with the marketplace, the black marketplace, and the black marketplace is the black marketplace because the government made it illegal in the first place.
No doubt.
So when placing blame, and I'm not ready to just I mean there's plenty of blame to go around. There's blame for the drug users. There's blame for the government. There's blame for the dealer. I think everybody's to blame.
Well, the dealer's a victim of prohibition then too. If he's getting product he doesn't know what it is.
He is.
And passing it along. But ultimately, even in the black market, it's still
only
buyer
the
beware.
government is the one who never gets the blame.
Yeah, that much is true. Robert, anything else?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that she's not here because of the poor choices that she made.
That's right.
Not the choice that I made. But that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Robert, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. We continue here, going over to Skype, where Bad Slave is with us in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Hi.
Hey, you're on the air.
I got to kill this. All right. So my take on this whole business with Trump actually, reversing a second reversal, because I think he had, promised in his campaigning to actually, diminish the federal prohibition on cannabis, right? Is that not true?
He said a lot of things in the campaign. I don't know.
Right. But I mean, then he appoints Sessions, and Sessions, I've got this picture of Sessions with the field of pot behind him.
Is he looking for a wascally wabbit?
I don't know. But, here's the thing is that the federal government was never authorized to interfere with pot, interfere with any other drugs, interfere with there is no specific federal power that's assigned to any of this stuff. When they had prohibition 100 years ago, they actually had to amend the Constitution.
Right.
And, we're all aware of that.
It's fascinating. To outlaw alcohol, they had to amend the Constitution. To outlaw marijuana, the federal government just passed a law about something that they knew nothing about. They didn't know that marijuana was even cannabis when they did it.
Right.
There's documentation of this, but somehow we all follow this troop of ignorant liars and thieves and say, well, I guess we got to do it. The politicians said so. I mean, you don't walk in there with pitchforks and torches and nail them to crosses and set them on fire like they deserve. You just, I guess we'll just follow what the idiots say. I mean, it's like taking the town dummy, putting him in charge, and saying, well, let's just do whatever this jackhole says.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so why is it that here we've got a guy who's saying, oh, well, we need to leave those folk that actually have recreational and medicinal cannabis available, that we got to leave those people alone. Why don't we just, from the federal level, leave them all alone? The states can enforce their stupid prohibitions for as long as they want.
Well, this is the first step. This bill, this States Act, is the first step in that direction. I thank you, Bad Slave, for the call tonight. It's a step. I mean, it is a big step if this thing actually passes. Let's continue. Corey is also calling from New Hampshire, listening to WNTK up in the Upper Valley. Hey, Corey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, great. You're on the air.
Great. I guess I was listening a little earlier about, and that lady was talking about, pot smokers end up using heroin. That whole
I think that was the guy.
That's not maybe. Yeah, I wasn't paying.
I don't think we're
ridiculous claim.
I apologize. I'm not supposed to assign gender anymore. Excuse me.
Well, first of all, I want you to go on, Corey, but I do want to point out that for people who still buy this old prohibitionist claptrap of it's a gateway drug, the federal government's own Institute of Medicine study in the year 1999 conclusively found that there's no such thing as the gateway effect, that if there is an effect, it's only because of drug prohibition, which drives people who who want to find cannabis into the hands of drug dealers who will likely try to ply them with their other wares. I mean, ultimately, there is no such thing as the gateway effect. It's a bunch of BS.
I just remember we were told the world was going to end in 2012, and I'm like, who messed that up? Because that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It would be great.
So anyway, I started smoking weed when I was like 12 years old, and I stopped smoking weed when I was 27 years old.
Okay.
And I've never used. I never got into using coke. I never got into using heroin. None of that bull crap. Years ago, I was in a little bit of a trouble doing other things, and I had a parole officer, and he told me that he didn't care if I smoked marijuana.
Really?
That the parole board cared if I smoked marijuana. So the next time that the parole board wanted him to urine test me, he was going to let me know that, I need to clean out. So,
wow.
So, there's even police people out there that...
They know. They know the
but
truth.
They know that smoking weed is not the end of the world. I still went to work and all that every day. I didn't go out and ruin the world, none of that crazy shit.
Oh, we can't let you say that on the radio. Thank you for the call tonight. We can't do that stuff. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, very passionate.
You're getting there at the end of the segment, weren't you?
He's all right. We got him.
You got it?
Oh, except I forgot our streams.
Radio
oh, well.
professional.
Sorry, stream listeners.
You've heard the S word. Welcome to Free Talk Live.
The radio stations are protected. It's Free Talk Live. You'll survive.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. goberkey.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free, join us here on the radio. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Or Skype in here. Skype username LRN.FM. Plus, there's our Discord on-air call-in line room at discord.lrn.fm. Those are the ways you can get on the air with us. With the us, by the way, is Ian.
And Mark.
And don't forget, you can, if you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and who agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, if that describes you, then you can go to liberty.menu and you can use that site to list your business. If you're a liberty-loving person and you want to find other liberty-friendly businesses, or you're a liberty-loving business person and you want your business to be found by those other liberty people, then this is the best site to do it. Liberty.menu, people have been asking for a site like this for years. It's finally here, and it's free to use. So if you do a thing, whether it's a business or even you're an events coordinator, or maybe you create digital content, there's different categories that you can post to on Liberty.menu to let other people in the libertarian liberty community know about your thing, whatever it is. Go to Liberty.menu. If you want, you can use code FTL like Free Talk Live. You get a special badge for your user profile. As we continue here, of course, you're free to call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. We've been discussing prohibition throughout most of the show here tonight. Amazingly, we were actually able to unearth a real-life prohibitionist earlier. I was so surprised.
A poor, damaged man that I don't know why you keep wanting to point this out. The poor man was suffering.
Yeah, that doesn't make it okay what he said.
No,
because
doesn't.
You've had a tough time in life doesn't mean it's all right to advocate that other people's lives be worsened. So that's not acceptable. We continue here as we go to Diane listening to WTKG in Michigan. Diane, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, that our local congressman here, Justin Amash, who's a libertarian Republican, did sponsor a bill to take marijuana off the schedule, the drug schedule federally.
Oh, great. How did it do? Is it still sort of floating out there, or did they kill it?
He just did it, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
So there's multiple pieces of legislation involved then in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And he always tries to get a Democrat on board, which he did, and so it's bipartisan. And it's really amazing. He's really, really good.
I think he's got the highest rating of all of the representatives, right? Since Ron Paul left.
I'm not going to go so far as to call a politician good. I will, however, say he is the best.
No, I'm totally with you on that one. I mean, and we've had a lot of really bad politicians in this district.
Sure.
And he's the one of all the ones I've had to live through I am happiest with.
Fair enough, Diane. Thanks for sharing that with us. Appreciate your call. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. Sort of like how, there's preferable forms of cancer and much less preferable forms of cancer, right?
Right.
I mean, you prefer not to have any, and I'd prefer not to have any politicians whatsoever. I wish we could just press a button and poof, make them all disappear and never be replaced by anybody else.
Yeah, just
Boy,
ask
wouldn't that be
yourself,
nice?
would you rather visit Washington, D.C., or would you rather Washington, D.C. visit you? And then you'll know how you feel.
Yeah, exactly. Let's continue here. By the way, speaking of the drug schedules, which is, she said, would remove, Amash's bill would remove cannabis from the drug schedule, whereas the bill we were talking about earlier would simply make it so there are exemptions within the drug schedule for states that have legalized or decriminalized cannabis. So Amash's bill would be better if that one actually passed. Because if you were to strike cannabis entirely from the drug schedule, that would go all the way. That would truly give you a states' rights kind of situation where the federal government would have no say whatsoever at all over how cannabis was or was not regulated in the states.
Don't forget that when the federal government isn't passing unconstitutional laws over how states conduct their business, they're offering incentives to states using their coining money power to give states money to pass their own laws. So there's still that, right? The federal government still has these guidelines that they wish the states to follow. I'll use the seatbelt law as an example. The federal government basically gave millions of dollars to states to pass seatbelt laws, either primary or secondary seatbelt laws. And the only state that hasn't taken it at this point is New Hampshire.
It's true.
It's $3 million. At this point, $3 million isn't even worth it.
Again, toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE, like freedom as we continue here. According to the story over at leafly.com about this States Act, which again would make it so the federal government would leave alone the states that have decided to legalize or decriminalize, it points out that the bill's legal foundation rests on the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which states, quote, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people," unquote. And that is something that is by and far completely ignored by the federal.
The Republic's gone on too long. It needs to be reset. Turn it off, turn it back on, see if that works.
No, let's just turn it off. The federal government is useless. It is a evil organization that steals money from people through either direct taxation via extortion or steals it through confiscatory hidden taxation like inflation, and then transmits that money to its politically connected allies in various different industries like the military-industrial complex and others, and uses it to punish its enemies. And all, as a result, us little folks, the folks in other countries in the world and in the United States, perish under its horrendous weight. What is the reason to bother resetting it?
It has a whole bunch of military equipment that you wouldn't know what to do with.
I'll let them homestead it or something. Let's go on here. David is in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live, listening online. Go ahead, David.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Here's my question. Did you all happen to notice that the president is interested in pardoning people lately? And I guess it occurred to him that if it winds up he did do things wrong, he could pardon himself. Did you all hear that at all?
I heard something about that this weekend, yeah.
Yeah. I've heard the claim, I think it was Giuliani making the claim that the president could probably pardon himself.
And isn't that kind of weird?
It's absolutely ludicrous.
It's hubris. That's for damn sure.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It kind of, it disempowers the entire process of impeachment.
Yeah, but can he do it?
I don't think the founders really built that in, but let's not forget that the Constitution was built on several hundred years of English common law in the process. So I think the short answer is absolutely not. And the second answer is that any country that will allow its chief executive to pardon himself from a high crime or misdemeanor, that country should be in full revolution at that point.
It's not going to happen.
And if they're not, it just shows if the country has the leader it deserves.
Yeah.
David,
really.
thanks.
Okay, well, I just thought I'd throw it out there. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks for the call. Of course, all this talk about Trump and pardoning and all that, ignores the fact that even if Trump were to be brought up on some kind of crime, even if he wasn't allowed to pardon himself, he could be removed from office or whatever as part of the punishment for that, or impeached or whatever, and then Mike Pence could just pardon him.
Well, that's been done.
Right?
Basically.
So if Trump wants a pardon, whether he does it himself or the next guy in line does it to him as a favor for giving him the presidency, he's going to get a pardon. Let's continue here. Larry, listening to WIBC, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Larry.
Hello.
Hey. You're on the air.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, there was a lot of static there for a second.
Okay, you're all good.
I wanted to talk about an idea that I had about prisons.
Sure.
and it's a very high portion of any state's budget and everything.
Yeah, it's expensive to house people.
Yes, it is. Instead of building prisons, how about putting like a dog collar around their neck that has an explosive in it?
You've been watching too many episodes of Escape from New York or whatever. That's a great movie. Hang on, Larry. We'll bring it back, though. It's a good question. What about letting these guys out on a device? And they do have, at the very least, tracking devices.
Not devices that blow your head straight off, though.
But that would be pretty dramatic.
Well, it would.
There's more on the way here.
Considering the government's in charge of it, it's just going to blow people's heads off.
You ever seen The Running Man? It's Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, mice, and rats. If you've made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix. Because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has 90 years of experience eliminating home invaders. And they make it easy for homeowners to be protected by offering a free pest estimate by calling 1-800-676-9879. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, mice, rats, and other pests. This is your last chance. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will never stop working to keep you out with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Pests. Wherever you are, I will find you. Pests, you've been warned. Homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate. 1-800-676-9879. 1-800-676-9879. 30-day money-back guarantee at participating locations. Limitations apply. See plan for details.
We're being attacked by news from all sides in tonight's News Blitz. Now we're homing in on Houston, Texas, where NASA announced today that the crew of the International Space Station has successfully completed their 13-year mission studying man's ability to constantly repair a large object in space. NASA officials hailed the remarkable feat of maintenance at a press conference this afternoon.
And throughout human history, man has gazed at the stars and dreamed of fixing something up there. People once thought the ultimate feat in human repair was a really big boat. Today, we've accomplished so much more.
This comes in the wake of NASA's previous success, finding out how many times an astronaut could hold something in his hand, then let it go, watch it float in front of his face for a bit, then catch it again. All right, dust yourself off. You have survived the News Blitz.
Tune in tomorrow morning to Today Now. We'll look back at Jim's week as a polygamist.
Oh, it's going to be fun. This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Talk Live, final segment here. You've got time to get in if you want. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The Skype username's LRN.FM. Our Discord on-air call-in line room is discord.lrn.fm. Our Twitch channel is available. It is a way that you can watch the show in high resolution. We got HD quality, 720p, high quality audio. And in fact, one of the things that I've never mentioned about Twitch that I wanted to share, I put it out in our newsletter today. We send out usually once a week, an email to kind of let you know what's going on with Free Talk Live. If you wanted to listen via audio only, obviously we've got our audio streams and such, but the Twitch channel on the Twitch app for Free Talk Live for LRN.FM has an audio only option. So if you tune us in on Twitch and you're watching, or maybe you want to switch to another program on your phone, or maybe you want to turn the phone screen off, put it in your back pocket, and keep listening, for whatever reason, YouTube and Twitch, these video apps, they don't let you turn the phone screen off. Have you ever noticed that? It's super annoying. I don't watch video on my phone. Yeah, I don't watch much video, but I've watched enough to know, like, if I play a video and I just want to hear the audio track of it, and you press the power button on the phone, like with most audio, it'll keep playing audio, right? But on video, these video sites, the audio just goes dead. It just stops playing the video. Well, with Twitch, if you hit the gear while you're watching Free Talk Live, you can go to audio only, and then you go to audio only mode, you can hit the power button, and you still hear the show. You can switch to your email, check your email, and you can still hear the show.
Why not go to listen.freetalklive.com, get the right audio stream for you, and just stream?
Yeah, you could do it that way too. I'm saying if you're in Twitch, you can go to the audio-only stream. Maybe you want to watch the show, and then you want to switch to audio. Well, it's right there. You just do the audio-only option.
All right.
And that helps us with our Twitch view count, I think.
I presume you're talking to the millennials out there or something.
I'm talking to whoever it is that watches on Twitch, which probably are more likely to be younger listeners, would be my guess. But people who don't know these things, who are new to the platform, may not have been aware that that was an option. So it is there for you, and you can go to twitch.lrn.fm. If you follow the channel, you'll get notifications of when we go live, and also when Call to Freedom goes live, which is the weekday program that airs before Free Talk Live on LRN. So head on over to twitch.lrn.fm as we continue here. We got Mark. He's in Michigan, in, I believe, Jackson, listening to WKHM. Hello, Mark.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. You're on the air.
Hey, yeah, I just had a comment as far as the cannabis. I, of course, grew up in the 70s. Today is my birthday, 56. And
congratulations on survival.
Yeah, right. But, just a lot of the different opinions and things that you hear of everybody. Mine isn't necessarily based on anything other than the experience, like I said, of growing up in the 70s.
Sure.
And while the studies show that, the starting out with something like marijuana isn't necessarily an absolute that you're going to do anything else. I think that it has more to do with not just, the getting on something like the THC, which, creates that buzz, and then wanting to do more after that. But it's the company, like growing up in the 70s, the company, where you're at, what you're doing, introduces all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Words,
it's definitely the people, it's definitely the who, the people that you're associated with. And as the government's own study found out, it's the fact that marijuana is sold by unscrupulous, drug dealers in some cases that might be more likely to push their other products on a person. And then again, as you point out, just the kind of friends.
And it wasn't so much of that with us.
Yeah.
It was there again. It was just a bunch of people hanging out together and doing this and doing that and doing the other, and one thing led to another.
And encouraging each other to try other things. Mark,
is progressive.
Thank you for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. And I gotta apologize to Larry. I totally spaced that we put him on hold. The guy who called about the collars, the explosive collars. Larry, I apologize about that. You're back on here on Free Talk Live. You were talking about reducing prison populations by putting explosive collars on people and just letting them out and saying, hey, if you go outside of this particular area, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. You can make it, if they're in there for murder and real serious crimes like that, you can fix it so they'll blow their head off if they get out away from their house or wherever you confine them to. but you could also make it so they would go to work every day.
So, like at certain times, they would just blow up?
Yeah.
I guess my first question is, do you trust the government?
No, it doesn't have to be run by the government necessarily.
So you trust a private contractor working for the government? That's all I'm saying. I'm not entirely against what you're saying, because I think that you could drop prison populations by 90%, even more than that, by simply, one, doing away with the drug war, two, basically taking people who are not a danger to society today, and having them, instead of paying for their housing, having them pay for their own housing by shipping them out and doing a work release program. These things are remarkably successful. The problem is that somebody on work release or house arrest or whatever the situation is goes out, they do some kind of criminal activity, and that's right. Criminals are going to do criminal activity sometimes. And then, for whatever reason, the media makes a big deal about it. Some politician makes a big deal because he's running against another politician who advocated for this. And then we're all right back in the same problem.
They have
this
to one-up each other on how tough they are.
Yeah, this is what happened to Dukakis.
Yeah. But it's a kind of a dream thing. But
it's a good idea.
A young guy, a teenager, 20 years old or whatever, the first time he goes to prison, when he gets out in 3 to 5 years or something, he's going to be more of a criminal than he went in.
Yep.
Because he goes in there and he's schooled in it.
Yep.
Instead of taking college, he went to prison to get schooled.
You're right. And that's not just Mark. My co-host here, Mark, spent 8 years plus of his life in prison, and you can say that's absolutely the truth.
Yeah,
right?
I watched guys show how to rob a bank. Within my first 2 weeks in prison, I was watching one guy showing another guy how to rob a bank. I worked at the auto mechanic shop, and there was literally, when the teacher would not be paying attention, there would be classes on how to hotwire a car. All of these things were occurring. They showed how to do armed robberies, how to do home invasions. This stuff was going on. Basically, all these crime and punishment people are just creating college for criminals.
It's true. Larry, thanks.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for the call tonight, man.
I was in law enforcement.
You what law enforcement?
So I was in law enforcement for 24 years.
Gotcha. So you know a thing or two about it.
So he knows.
Yep. What happens when they go to prison? They come out and they're worse.
Yep.
And we got to do something to deter them.
I understand where you're coming from with the idea of the exploding collars. It's just a little messy.
It's good for a comic book. It's not good for real life. And I think Josh.
You could probably just keep it to GPS trackers, and you'd be fine, because it's they're
it'd
hard
be a lot cheaper.
That doesn't work.
No? Why not?
GPS trackers.
Why not?
Well, because if they do something when they're on GPS, all you know is they were there. You don't know that they did anything, and they can do the crime.
Well, now, wait a minute. If you've got the explosive collar, all you know is that they crossed the line they're not supposed to cross, right? Like, it's geographic.
Somebody got to drug them across.
Right. You can do that, but if you just went, if you just do them on GPS, you got to have something to deter them, and losing their head,
All right, well, he's not backing down from this one. Thanks for the call, Larry. I appreciate it, man.
Okay, so
how many movies have they had that plot device in?
I don't know, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
The idea of GPS trackers, ankle bracelets, all these things, it's significantly less costly to employ.
Right.
These what are they called? Probation officers, parole officers, things like that, than it is to employ prison guards and build prisons and all of the stuff that goes into it. Yep. Most of the people in prison are in for drug crimes or drug-related crimes.
Well, they should just all be pardoned straight out if there's no victim.
Not a drug-related crime. If somebody commits a violent crime to get drugs, they've committed a violent crime. I don't care. They don't deserve a pardon.
If there's no victim, they need to be pardoned.
If there's no victim, there's no crime, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
There's arguments that can be had surrounding that, but largely, certainly when it comes to the drug war, no victim, no crime. I'm willing to say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Secondly, in many cases, like if thieves and that sort of thing, if it's their first time stealing or whatever, put them on an ankle bracelet at home, have them pay off the people they harmed rather than putting them in jail. People that have served some period of time in jail for a violent crime and don't appear to be violent. well, maybe they could be at home and we wouldn't be paying for housing them too.
Indeed. And, of course, end prohibition, and that's going to solve a lot of it. From the get-go, it's been Ian and Mark here. You can join us again tomorrow night for the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. Between now and then, join us online over at freetalklive.com. Have a great weekend.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, June 9th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.78 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,299 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $23, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,672. Antiwar.com reports airstrikes against the Idlib province leveled a number of houses in the Zardana area, killing dozens of civilians. The exact death toll is contested, with some saying as many as 51 civilians were killed, while other tolls were lower. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has been the monitor offering most of the casualty estimates on the attack, and added it was probably Russian warplanes behind the attack. However, Russia denies that was the case. Russia's defense ministry says they did not carry out any airstrikes at all in the Idlib province. They pointed to a possible alternative, however, saying they'd seen reports of heavy artillery fire in the area amid rebel infighting. With so many different nations conducting airstrikes in Syria, it is often difficult or even impossible to determine who was responsible for any particular strike. This has both made it hard to reliably discern reality and worryingly allowed nations to deny involvement with at least some plausibility, even when they were ultimately proved to be behind it. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. UPI reports voters in 4 states this year will cast ballots to determine whether medical or recreational cannabis should be legalized, potentially expanding legal cannabis use to just shy of 2/3 of the states, even amid federal resistance to legal acceptance. Michigan is the only state to vote on recreational cannabis this year, in a measure similar to Colorado's existing recreational cannabis laws. Meanwhile, Utah, Oklahoma, and Missouri will vote on legalized medicinal cannabis. 29 states currently allow medicinal cannabis, with 9 states and the District District of Columbia having legalized recreational cannabis. Despite the growing number of states legalizing cannabis, the U.S. federal government still has the right to prosecute people who violate cannabis-related federal crimes, causing confusion for states and citizens who are lawfully abiding by their state laws. A new bill introduced in Congress on Thursday could change that, all without federally legalizing cannabis. Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Cory Gardner of Colorado announced Thursday's bipartisan legislation that would give states the right to legalize or decriminalize cannabis within their